A young boy, naturally frail and weak, yet does 10,000 push-ups daily, kicks a sandbag filled with rocks for 3 hours, all to defeat the class bully and avoid becoming his money-making tool. Because in this era where everyone live streams, even nobodies can become streamers. And traffic means money. But Hoban can only put on weird makeup, becoming a tool for Paco to entertain audiences. Not only does he not get a penny, he also risks getting beaten if he's not careful. After the live stream ends, he goes to the bathroom. Looking at his pathetic reflection in the mirror, he rages helplessly, complaining why he has no talents. Paco, with his 700,000 followers, may not be good at studying, but he has a talent for making money. New blogger Rumi can make a living with her looks. Only he can neither study nor make money. Hoban returns to the classroom after washing off his makeup, but is immediately greeted with a flying kick, followed by a barrage of kicks. Just because during the live stream he couldn't manage his expression well. The yellow-haired guy is called Snapper, though his fighting skills are terrible. He voluntarily became Paco's cameraman, and with Paco's reputation, he secured a place in school, just as Hoban was holding back his anger. A comment from Rumi nearly made his jaw drop. She made $250 in just one lunch break. This made Snapper want to start streaming too. He went to Paco to ask what's needed for live streaming. Only then did he learn that since minors can't make profitable videos, they need their parents' account and bank book. This troubled Snapper, because he had lied to his father before so he couldn't get an account. He couldn't help but look at Hoban, nonchalantly asking, "Is your mom still alive? I heard she's sick. Lend me your account, will you?" Hoban couldn't believe what he was hearing. He should have punched Snapper, but could only silently apologize to his mother. Every time Hoban visits the hospital, his sick mother smiles and lies that she's getting better. He also lies to his mother that he's doing well at school. After leaving the hospital, Hoban immediately starts his part-time job, but thinking that working hard for a week only earns him $42. Not even as much as what Rumi makes in one lunch break of streaming. Not even enough for his mother's medical bills. Hoban only feels that life is pitch black. If it weren't for seeing his goddess Bomi Choi every day, he wouldn't know how to carry on. In the evening, Hoban wondered if he was crazy for agreeing to let Snapper come to his house to stream using his mother's account. But just as he was preparing to bring ramen to Snapper, he accidentally tripped over the power cord. Snapper, who was about to get 30 kills in-game, stared at the blank screen in shock. But as he turned around, he was doused with ramen. He got up and kicked Hoban repeatedly, while Hoban kept apologizing. But unexpectedly, Snapper not only didn't stop, but even insulted his mother. Hoban finally couldn't bear it anymore. He picked up a piece of kimchi and flung it at Snapper's face. Raising his anger-filled fist, he delivered a fierce uppercut. This was the first time Hoban threw a punch. He instantly felt that fighting wasn't such a big deal. Snapper also hit back hard, and the two started brawling. Little did they know this comical scene was all caught on camera. Afterward, Hoban curled up alone in a corner. Looking at the messy room, he didn't choose to clean up, but turned off the power and just lay down because he was too tired. Early the next morning, Hoban was awakened by an annoying phone ring. As soon as he answered, he was stunned. It was Snapper calling, anxiously asking him to delete the video. He then realized the cable he had kicked yesterday was actually the monitor cable, which meant their fight had been live-streamed the whole time. Feeling his reputation was ruined, Snapper cried desperately, asking Hoban for his mother's account password so he could delete the video. But Hoban thought Snapper was joking with him, as he hadn't uploaded any video. Snapper sobbed and told him that if the power is cut during a live stream, the video is automatically uploaded. Hoban was dumbfounded, but he still didn't believe such a weird system existed. So he quickly opened YouTube, only to find the video on the homepage. Hoban clicked in and saw over 1,000 comments, even in foreign languages. In just one night, he had gone from an ordinary outsider to an international outsider. Hoban leaned against the wall helplessly. Just as he was about to delete the video, he suddenly realized that views equal money. After counting on his fingers, he discovered this one video had earned him over $7,000. He skipped school and rushed to the hospital, happily paying the overdue medical bills. But Snapper wasn't so lucky. As soon as he entered the classroom, everyone looked at him like an idiot. Mockery continuously came his way, thinking of how he had tried so hard to please Paco, to enter everyone's circle, but now was about to be marginalized. Snapper decided to find a victim to save face. He arrogantly slapped a student's head who looks like a fool, but unexpectedly was knocked away by a punch, and was beaten while pinned to the ground. Seeing someone who was usually as docile as a puppy, with such terrifying strength, Snapper couldn't help but turn to Paco, smiling bitterly for help, but Paco just laughed. Hearing the laughter, Snapper instantly understood that everything he had humbly built up had completely collapsed. Meanwhile, after paying his mother's hospital bills, Hoban was happily walking down the street just as he was thinking about how to spend the remaining money. A fist landed hard on his face. Snapper, with tears in his eyes, shouted, "Bastard! You made money, right? I've lost so much!" He grabbed Hoban's collar, wanting a share of the money. Hearing this, Hoban immediately became energetic, returning with a kick to the groin. And so they started fighting in public. Exhausted from fighting, the two sat on a roadside bench. Though Hoban sympathized with Snapper's fate, he still firmly stated he wouldn't give him a penny. Unexpectedly, Snapper took out his phone and showed the video of them just fighting. Hoban was shocked, thinking he wanted to post it again. But Snapper smiled slightly. Who would watch this kind of video again? Posting it again would only get us called fake. I just wanted to show you how well I filmed it. Then he revealed his purpose, which was to seek cooperation, make money together. Hoban felt Snapper was talking nonsense, but hearing about making big money, he was still tempted. Seeing this, Snapper continued explaining the intricacies. He told Hoban that a good video involves shooting, editing, reviewing, planning, and other aspects. After hearing this, Hoban was dumbfounded. But Snapper pointed at himself. I was previously Paco's planner and cameraman. His 700,000 followers, I contributed significantly. And all you need to do is just be on camera. Listen to me, we'll make big money together. Snapper saw Hoban standing there stunned, thinking he had succeeded. Actually, his purpose wasn't simple. Besides making money, he wanted more to use Hoban's account to become a star planner. At this point, Hoban suddenly asked how the money would be split. Snapper naturally said, I get 90%, you get 10%. But Hoban directly gave him an international gesture and walked away. This was completely unexpected for Snapper. He quickly tried to persuade him, but no matter what he said, Hoban wouldn't budge. Until he heard you get 90%, I get 10%. He immediately turned around with a mischievous smile. What do I need to do? Realizing he had been tricked, Snapper, though angry, still revealed the streaming theme, which was to expose the bad student. During the class bullies livestream, Hoban publicly took off his shirt, revealing bruises all over, exposing that Paco was just pretending to be nice on camera, but was actually a big bully behind the scenes. Snapper saw Paco's panicked expression, couldn't help but smile slightly, thinking it worked. But Paco suddenly burst into laughter, calling Hoban an idiot. He grinned and held up his phone. Because the phone had no battery, the stream had already stopped. After saying this, he gave Hoban a hard slap across the face. As he was being knocked away, he couldn't help but look at Snapper in the crowd, so exposing was just a front. Their real purpose was to stream Paco's violence, while gaining followers and fame. Hoban didn't know if getting beaten so badly would really earn big money, but for his mother in the hospital bed, he had to try. For the streaming effect, Hoban struck a fighting pose, looking like he was challenging Paco. Snapper was stunned seeing this. I told you to get beaten, not to get killed. But the livestream's popularity surged because of this. Paco was not to be trifled with. He took off his shirt, revealing a large tattooed arm, looking down at Hoban. Small dog, can you handle it? Though Hoban appeared steady as an old dog, inside he was panicking. Paco's terrifying aura made him want to kneel and beg for mercy. But with so many people watching, he couldn't retreat now. As time passed, Hoban's fists and legs began to tremble uncontrollably. Not knowing what to do, he suddenly thought of a scene from an A-country movie. Hoban lunged forward, trying to catch Paco off guard. But unexpectedly, Paco didn't even move. He smiled wickedly at Hoban. Little dried fish, you're really brave. Then grabbed Hoban's pants, easily lifting him up and slamming him to the ground. This tragic scene, even Snapper couldn't bear to watch. Feeling the pain coursing through his body, Hoban finally knew what real fighting was. His scuffle with Snapper was at most a farce. Just when he thought it was all over, Paco suddenly leaned in, raising his sandbag-sized fist, ready to show Hoban his strength. Just as the fist was 0.1 millimeter from Hoban, a voice came, Paco, be quiet, I want to sleep. The enraged Paco immediately turned around. Witch bastard, if you want to sleep, go home. Hearing the insult, the young man immediately looked up. What did you just say? I didn't hear clearly. Paco, seeing it was that guy, was almost scared to pee, quickly apologizing. The young man was named Munseong Kim, a new talent in H country's mixed martial arts. Seeing the fierce Paco acting like a docile kitten in front of Munsong, Hoban finally understood that even beasts have rankings. Munsong was undoubtedly a beast among beasts. Just a simple sentence changed the classroom atmosphere, and Hoban, because of this, avoided the fate of lying in a hospital bed for 3 months. Snapper came to him, giving Hoban a close-up. Although he lost the fight, his followers surged. Paco, back at home, was still secretly happy that his phone had no battery. Otherwise, he would have been ruined by Hoban. But when he charged it and opened his social account, he was stunned. Countless unread messages. Looking closely, because of the beating incident, he had directly entered the top 5 trending topics. Realizing he had been set up, Paco shouted that he would make Hoban pay, while Hoban was looking at the screen, secretly rejoicing. Not only did he make money, his account was also nearing 100,000 followers. But he knew this was just the beginning. He remembered what Snapper mentioned about video duration. Since the livestream content was mainly fighting, but to make big money, they needed to insert ads. This meant that every time he fought, he had to last at least 3 minutes. This troubled Hoban. With his thin arms and legs, he couldn't even withstand one punch. But going to a dojo to cram wasn't realistic. Hoban turned to the all-knowing internet, but after searching for a long time, he only found strange things. Suddenly, he saw a channel called How to Fight, with no followers, but with a lot of content. Hoban was surprised. Was he the first to discover this channel? He clicked on the second video out of curiosity. A chicken-headed man appeared. Samdak first introduced himself, then announced today's teaching topic, the painless way to get hit. Just as Hoban was full of expectation, Samdak reviewed the content from the last lesson, which was also the prerequisite for using his fighting techniques. Forbid anger. If you can't control your emotions, what you swing isn't a fist, but emotions. Conversely, if you can anger your opponent, you can easily defeat them. Then he prepared to teach the painless way to get hit. Hearing that getting hit wouldn't hurt, combined with what Samdak had just said, Hobin instantly felt like an idiot, almost believing Samdak's nonsense. Hobin, about to leave for work, hadn't realized yet that this would be the channel that changed his life. After careful consideration, after work, Hobin proposed resignation to his boss. This move naturally didn't escape his boss's mockery and his colleagues' ridicule. They all thought Hobin quit because he became famous and didn't want to do this hard work. But who could understand his difficulties? Just as Hobin didn't know how to explain. Hearing the news in the break room, Bomi smilingly came to the front desk, directly saying Hobin's exposure of Paco was very cool. The boss and Hobin were both amazed. But Bomi's next action surprised everyone even more. She actually actively asked for Hobin's contact. Happiness came so suddenly, while Hobin was blessed with beauty, money, and career. Our Paco was miserable. Even immediately kneeling to apologize didn't save his followers. Overnight, he lost 300,000 followers. Going out to stream, he was met with all kinds of disgust. In contrast, Hobin became an outsider internet celebrity. Many people left messages on his channel looking forward to his next work, but Hobin had no time for these, only knowing to be sweet with Bomi. Even the simplest conversation could make him smile like a pervert. Just as Hobin was happily chatting, Snapper suddenly popped up. "I'm working hard researching the next video. What are you doing smiling like an idiot?" Then he stood up looking at Hobin. "Have you figured out how to make the fight last over 3 minutes? Are you going to learn Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?" Hobin raised his head to think for a moment, inadvertently remembered Samdak's teaching but didn't dare to say it. Just said he was thinking of a way. Seeing Hobin so unproductive, Snapper suddenly came in front of him. "Kid, don't you know how many benefits there are when you're famous?" Hobin scratched his head. "I really don't know." Just then, Rumi suddenly called his name. Coming to Hobin's ear, wanting to do a live stream with him, Hobin instantly understood the benefits of being famous. But the good times are always so short. Paco angrily walked into the classroom, declaring he would tear them apart. Seeing this, Hobin was sweating cold. But the super angry Paco reminded him of Samdak's teaching. As the angry fist swung, Hobin instinctively dodged. This made Paco even more furious. Hobin again remembered what Samdak said. "First anger your opponent, then." This scene was exactly the same as what he said. Hobin was surprised. Could that really be a video that makes people better at fighting? He looked at the approaching Paco, ready to try. He actively brought his face forward, but when the fist was just 0.1 millimeter away, it strangely stopped, while Hobin was confused. Suddenly from behind came Snapper's voice. Hobin turned and understood what happened. Paco, having learned his lesson, although angry, still lowered his fist, leaving a fierce threat, before turning and leaving the classroom. Seeing this, Snapper collapsed to the ground, looking at the dazed Hobin beside him. "I saved your life, remember to thank me properly." But Hobin didn't respond, because he was thinking, who exactly was this fighting rooster? 2 days quietly passed. Hobin arrived at the meeting place to discuss with Snapper about the next video. They couldn't always rely on Paco. Although he waited for a long time without seeing anyone, he didn't feel bored, because he could be sweet with his goddess. Bomi even suggested having a phone call with Hobin. Happiness came too suddenly, just as Hobin was about to make the call. A couple in the distance recognized him. Both said they were his fans, surrounding Hobin and asking all sorts of questions, so warmly that it made him a bit embarrassed. And so the naive Hobin was led to an alley by the two. They thought they could make a fortune. But unexpectedly, even after turning his underwear inside out, they didn't find a single coin. After questioning, they learned that the video money was only partially released, and he had paid his mother's medical bills. Just as Hobin didn't know what to do, Snapper came charging in, shouting a slogan with a powerful aura, instantly freezing the two. Hobin was so excited that his eyes were tearing up, thinking he was saved. Unexpectedly, Snapper was immediately dealt with. Without any harvest, the two not only took Hobin's phone, but also stripped Snapper of all his branded clothes, then left coolly, leaving only the crying Hobin. Actually, he didn't care about the phone, mainly because it had the goddess's phone number. Hobin anxiously asked Snapper to think of a solution, but Snapper held up his new iPhone 14. "I started streaming when you were being dragged away." Hobin was instantly stunned. At this time, Snapper secretly whispered in his ear, revealing his plan. That was to chase after them, use them as streaming material, get the phone back, and with their current popularity, make a fortune. Seeing Hobin lower his head in silence, Snapper thought it wouldn't work. Unexpectedly, Hobin smiled mysteriously, announcing the start of the fighting livestream. They quickly found the couple. The woman, seeing Snapper filming, instantly panicked, but the man didn't care, saying just film. Seeing the man stand up, Hobin immediately stood to his left. Because according to Samdak's lesson, before fighting, first observe the opponent's dominant hand, then stand on the opposite side, creating obstacles, forcing him to use his dominant hand to punch. Because when the opponent's shoulder swings greatly, there will be more reaction space. Facing the man's giant fist, Hobin seized the opportunity and moved closer, being hit before the opponent could exert force. This is the painless way to get hit. The man was stunned, who asked to be hit. He quickly threw another punch, just as Hobin thought he couldn't dodge. The man's fist actually missed. He remembered what Samdak said. Ordinary people find it hard to see punch positions. But if the opponent is also ordinary, they will find it hard to hit a moving target. This is the waving technique, commonly known as moving the upper body to avoid punches. Hoban, while dodging attacks, also used his head to hit the opponent's fist with all his might, but at the right timing, he wouldn't feel pain. Hoban saw the man stop, roaring for him to hand over the phone. Yeah, this move allowed Hoban to show his dominance. But the man wasn't convinced, throwing another punch at Hoban. This scene of not fighting back quickly bored the fans. Actually, Hoban wanted to fight back, but his ability didn't allow it, because he only learned this one move. So they fought for another 10 minutes. When everyone thought Hoban would lose, the fan who had pointed out Munsong's identity was certain Hoban would win. Why? The man looked at his swollen hands, though he didn't feel pain yet. Once the adrenaline wore off, he'd be rolling on the ground in pain. Even hitting a punching bag can injure your fists, not to mention a hard skull. Hoban, who had worked hard to win, just got his phone back and was thinking about how to reply to his goddess. Snapper was also pleased, seeing Hoban's progress. With those 4 videos, they easily made 20 million. Just as Hoban thought that exciting live streams were all they needed, Snapper poured cold water on him. Due to the review mechanism, overly sensational and violent content would be flagged. Once flagged, the video would have no revenue. Just as they were chatting, Rumi, who was live streaming outdoors, spotted them. Snapper, seeing this, pulled Hoban and ran. He didn't want his fans to be stolen. When they ran to a clothing store, Hoban was deeply attracted by a piece of clothing in the window. But looking at the price, $1,200, he immediately backed down, just as Hoban was about to give up. A message changed his mind. Happiness came so suddenly. Wearing a trendy brand for the first time, Hoban felt very unnatural, because he had never been so eye-catching before. He found a chair and sat down with his head lowered. Then Bomi walked over, pointing at Hoban's clothes. It's a couple outfit, really in sync. One sentence made him blush. The two walked together in the park. At this moment, Bomi suddenly received a phone call. After hanging up, she smiled and told Hoban. It was a good friend from elementary school who happened to be nearby. Hoban also asked about the person's name. Bomi paused. You seem to be in the same school. Do you know Mun Seong? This name shocked Hoban. Thinking of that H country's mixed martial arts new talent, he felt his enemy had appeared. While Hoban was silent, Bomi leaned in, smiling and asking if he knew him. Unexpectedly, Hoban's brain heated up momentarily, actually saying he and Munsong were very close, because he didn't want Bomi to find out he wasn't popular at school. Hearing they knew each other, Bomi couldn't help but marvel at the coincidence. Unfortunately, Munsong appeared right then. Bomi walked up to Munsong. I heard you and Hoban are very close. The young man was instantly dumbfounded. Just as he was waiting to be embarrassed, Munsong walked up. Are you and I close? Seeing the two like strangers, Bomi couldn't help but be confused. She looked up at Munsong. What's wrong? Aren't you two close? This made Hoban feel even more embarrassed. Just as he was about to tell the truth, Munsong scratched his head. We're close. We're classmates. Hoban looked incredulous, not understanding why Munsong said this. Until Munsong said he had watched his live stream, Hoban laughed awkwardly. And so, 3 people wearing the same style of clothes walked on the street. Matching clothes isn't scary. Who's ugly is who's embarrassed. Self-deprecating Hoban felt he was completely redundant. He spoke from a distance, finding a lame excuse. Before the two could react, he turned and left. Bomi looked at Hoban's back, her face showing disappointment. Snapper, watching from afar, was dumbfounded. Fingernail piercing. Such a lame excuse. Hoban had just reached the corner when he met him. Snapper quickly covered Hoban's mouth to prevent him from calling out. Explaining he was just passing by, he questioned Hoban why he used such a lame excuse. The young man suddenly became emotional. I'm not worthy of Bomi. Walking with them, I'm like a clown. Snapper immediately grabbed Hoban's collar. You idiot. Think about who initiated this date. Think about the disappointed look on Bomi's face when you left. If she had no feelings for you, how could she be like that? Love is like a competition. Do you want to give up before even entering the field? Hoban was moved to tears by Snapper's words, feeling he had let Bomi down, immediately deciding to return and confess. Looking at Hoban's back, Snapper revealed a sinister smile. Fans, the live stream of being rejected by the goddess continues. But after running a few steps, his face showed horror. Meanwhile, Hoban had just arrived in front of the two. When Munseong stood up to leave, he then learned from Bomi that Munseong had a competition next week and was very busy. Hoban said goodbye softly, but Munseong suddenly called out to him. I watched your channel. I feel your skills are pretty good. You rushed in before the opponent could hit you to reduce the damage, right? Did you intentionally not make follow-up moves? Hoban was shocked. He hadn't even thought about follow-up moves. How did Munseong know, seeing him leave? Hoban turned to Bomi. I have something important to tell you. The two sat on a long bench. Bomi, with a red face, what do you want to say? Hoban didn't immediately speak, but first caught the spying Snapper. But when he clearly saw Snapper's face, he was instantly confused. Before he could ask what was wrong, Snapper was kicked away. The angry Paco appeared. Hoban thought of Samdak's teaching, and to show off in front of his goddess, actually actively provoked with a hand gesture. Paco had never received such an insult. He angrily walked towards Hoban, not yet realizing he had fallen into a trap. Just as he swung his fist, Hoban again used the getting hit technique, but was hit hard in the chin by Paco's uppercut. Paco, with an angry face, I've already watched your video. Hoban, who was hit so hard he couldn't stand steady, Remembered Samdak once said, "The weakness of the painless hitting technique is the uppercut, and only fools would use the hitting technique a second time." Seeing Hoban being hit away, Bomi anxiously ran forward, but was pushed away by Paco. He strode forward. Hoban, already lying on the ground, regretted becoming complacent after becoming famous, getting his head clouded by love, not learning more from Samdak. He felt he had reverted to that cowardly guy before the stream. But Paco had no intention of letting him go easily, picking Hoban up like a chicken, raising his sandbag-sized fist, slamming it into his face. Hoban heard Bomi's anxious voice, begging Paco to let him go. At this moment, Hoban just wanted Bomi to leave safely. He didn't want his cowardly and weak side to be seen by Bomi. Hoban humiliatingly knelt in front of Paco, shouting that he was wrong. Paco looked fierce. "Your apology has no sincerity at all. You need to take off your pants and apologize properly. There are hundreds of thousands of people watching you." Hoban looked up, found Snapper holding up a phone live streaming. He cried, looking at Hoban. "I'm sorry, I don't want to film either, but it hurts too much." But more tragic than being live streamed was that Hoban wasn't even as brave as a girl. The slapped Paco grabbed Bomi in rage. Turning to tell Snapper to move the camera away, he was going to do something bad. Without confidence to beat Paco, Hoban directly took off his pants. He chose to protect the person he liked by selling his dignity. Paco, seeing this, laughed arrogantly. But Hoban's next action made Paco completely panic. He actually wanted to take off his last piece of covering, to permanently stop Paco's account. Just as the little bird was about to appear, Moonsong stopped Hoban from behind. "No need to take it off. Leave everything to me." Moonsong returned because he saw Paco's live stream. He quickly walked toward Paco's three people, with overwhelming strength, instantly taking care of the two minions. Paco, seeing this, hurriedly explained everything was a misunderstanding, but Moonsong's iron-like fist still slammed into him. Moonsong came to Bomi, concernedly asking if she was okay. This scene made Hoban on the ground feel even more miserable. Bomi quickly said she was fine, then anxiously pointed at Hoban. Moonsong didn't go check, but forcefully pulled Bomi away, because he knew leaving was the biggest help for Hoban. Although Bomi was reluctant, she still followed Moonsong. After everything ended, Hoban finally couldn't hold it anymore and burst into tears. At this moment, he didn't hate Snapper or Paco, but hated himself. Why was he so weak? In the time that followed, Paco was no longer hypocritical. Relying on angrily responding to haters, his streaming career actually grew. The poor Snapper became his clown model. In contrast, Hoban disappeared from school. Even Bomi couldn't contact him. Thinking of himself being so weak, Hoban broke down several times. Just when he was about to give up, Samdak's video gave him hope. Hoban transformed his anger into power to change himself, beginning a month-long Ordinary People Fighting Method Chapter 2. According to Samdak's 3 essential elements for fighting, Hoban drank protein-packed dark juice to strengthen his physique. Every day insisted on doing 10,000 push-ups, training his willpower. Finally using the bathhouse as his home. Swimming with clenched fists to enhance stamina. Just as Hoban finished everything and prepared to continue learning, Samdak reminded, "No matter how hard you work this month, your physique and stamina won't change much." Hoban was instantly dumbfounded. Samdak continued, "A fighting champion once said in an interview, 'Fighting requires skill, and what I'm about to teach is precisely the only skill chosen by the fighting champion, the low kick.'" Hoban first learned the standard movement, then began a month-long practice. Meanwhile, he didn't give up on strengthening his physique and stamina. But Snapper was miserable, getting beaten by Paco from time to time. Paco also relied on angrily responding to haters, reaching 900,000 followers. But he wanted to break 1 million. While Paco was worrying about this, he suddenly looked at Snapper, who was getting up, walking to him, asking Snapper to bring Hoban to stream. If he could break 1 million, he would rehire him as an operator. Snapper was stunned for a moment, not expecting Paco to ask him to betray his friend. He refused this request, but what awaited him was a beating. For survival, he compromised. Snapper came to the hospital as Hoban's friend, getting the address from Hoban's mother. Looking at the address in his hand, Snapper smiled sinisterly. But the next day, he didn't bring Hoban to school. Paco immediately beat him, then asked him why. Snapper lied, saying no matter how he knocked, Hoban wouldn't come out. Actually, he never went to Hoban's house when Snapper got the address and was about to leave. Hoban's mother suddenly called him, "Are you Hoban's classmate?" Snapper turned back shocked. "How did you know, Auntie?" Hoban's mother smiled. "My son mentions you every day, saying he made his first friend at school. That friend always brings him comfort and strength." After hearing this, the address in Snapper's hand dropped. But what he didn't know was, Hoban was talking about someone with red hair. To not lose today's streaming revenue, Paco asked Snapper to record a video acting pitiful, then send it to Hoban. Unexpectedly, Snapper told Hoban to stay at home and not come to school. Paco was instantly angered, using his fist to interrupt his words. Then riding on Snapper, his sandbag-sized fist continuously swinging. But even being beaten down, facing Paco's camera, Snapper still told Hoban not to come. Little did he know this tragic scene had been fully seen by Hoban. How could he abandon Snapper? Paco, seeing Hoban appear, immediately smiled. Snapper looked terrified. Hoban directly threw the phone to him. Snapper picked it up and saw it was streaming. He was surprised watching Hoban walk towards Paco. Looking at the dazed Snapper, Hoban couldn't help but remind him. Quick, film. This is a fighting live stream, the return special. Hearing this, Paco's face couldn't help but show a vicious smile. Little dried fish, wasn't the previous lesson enough? In this return battle, can Hoban wash away the shame? Snapper watches the confrontation between the two, cursing Hoban for being an idiot to come to school, but Hoban tells him to record all the details. Paco, seeing the two treating him like he's invisible, suddenly throws a slap, which Hoban seems to have anticipated, immediately using his painless getting hit technique to take it. Snapper is stunned seeing Hoban use his old trick. He clearly remembers how badly Hoban was beaten last time. Paco smirks. Little does he know this is all Hoban's misdirection. As Paco prepares to throw an uppercut, Hoban kicks him in the shin first. The sudden pain makes Paco's face contort. Hoban, seeing his reaction, thinks he's succeeded, but Paco mocks him, saying he's an idiot who can't even kick right. Just when Snapper and the fans feel embarrassed, the comment section expert appears again, pointing out Hoban did it on purpose. This startles Snapper. Meanwhile, the fighting genius Moon Kim also notices that Hoban is using an upgraded version of the leg kick, the calf kick. This move would hurt even if executed by an ordinary person. It's also notorious in the UFC. Seeing Hoban perform such a professional move, Moon Kim can't help but smile slightly. What? He's actually quite good, but just 2 kicks won't be enough to defeat Paco. Hoban looks at the attacking Paco, with a trace of panic on his face. He remembers Samdok's words, "I'm not teaching you a sport, but how to fight. There are no rules, run if you can't win." While dodging, Hoban doesn't forget to sneak in calf kicks. While others are amazed, Moon Kim looks at the live stream in confusion, wondering why Hoban isn't using other moves. He suddenly realizes a possibility. At the same time, Paco figures out how to counter, and begins his counterattack. But Samdok had anticipated this, so he taught Hoban another move. Paco, seeing Hoban about to counterattack, thinks it's another calf kick and focuses all his attention on his legs, only to get punched hard in the face. The long-term fist clenching while swimming had greatly improved Hoban's punching speed and power. Seeing Paco get blown away, everyone is stunned. The classroom falls silent, with only Hoban's heavy breathing. Seeing Paco taken care of, 2 minions want to avenge their boss. Snapper instantly appears in front of Hoban, trash-talking. "If you hit Hoban, your mother will get the flu." Seeing the two back down, Snapper immediately puts on an arrogant face, unaware they're not afraid of him. Moon Kim pats Hoban's trembling shoulder. "You did well." At this moment, all the emotions suppressed in his heart burst out. Hoban faces the livestream viewers and shouts, "I'm not useless!" Everyone remember to subscribe. Since being defeated, Paco never came back to school. Hoban became famous from that fight, even winning the platform's Best Newcomer award. With his earnings, Hoban bought his mom a new outfit. When his mom said he was wasting money, Hoban quickly explained it was on sale, very cheap. After chatting a while, as Hoban was about to leave, his mom told him, "That friend you often mention came by yesterday." Hoban's face lit up with a bright smile. Moon Kim. Unexpectedly, as soon as he stepped out, he saw a surprised Snapper. "What? The one who gave you strength wasn't me, but Moon Kim?" Snapper put down the fruit basket and punched Hoban. "Maybe not before, but I am now." The two returned home together. Snapper suggested that to grow the channel, they needed a dedicated editor. At first, Hoban felt it unnecessary, until Snapper told him, even the best content gets boring to viewers eventually. And when our videos aren't good, a professional editor often has the ability to turn trash into gold. Hoban nodded somewhat understandingly. After consideration, the two decided to seek help from fans first. As soon as they asked, resumes flooded the comment section. Then Hoban noticed a comment, the guy who's always watching his streams, also the person who recognized Moon Kim in the livestream. So they arranged to interview this person in the classroom. Hoban suddenly saw the person's profile background, feeling they might be in trouble. Such an old-fashioned background. Could it be an old man? At that moment, a 17-year-old cute girl arrived at the classroom door. Originally, the two were surprised that the applicant was a beautiful girl, but when Gayul introduced herself, she immediately drew Snapper's mockery, because her voice was completely a combination of an old man and a young girl. But Gayul's unconscious movements made Snapper fall for her. He immediately told Hoban no interview was needed, she was the one. Hoban didn't agree, and after seriously watching Gayul's edited work, found she was indeed very talented. But this made Hoban suspicious. "With your skills, why would you choose a small streamer like me?" Until Gayul explained. By chance, she had seen from outside the classroom a person who was bullied every day actually able to clench his fist and fight back. That moment of courage let Gayul, who was also an outsider, see something different. Since then, she had been quietly following Hoban. After explaining, Gayul smiled and extended her hand. "Please take care of me from now on." Just as Hoban was about to shake her hand, Snapper beat him to it. Subsequently, the three happily appeared on camera, telling fans they had found an editor. Little did they know this high-profile moment was seen by Bomi, making her upset. He was clearly very active but not answering her calls. Suddenly, people watching something on the street caught Bomi's attention. She curiously joined the crowd. What she saw made her shocked. In the store lay people all over the floor, while a young man casually played games. A big man suddenly kicked the arcade machine. "Kid, Are you the one who beat my brothers like that? The young man, annoyed at losing his game due to the interruption, looked up with a smile. Uncle, do you have 501 coins? Meanwhile, Hobin and his friend were also looking at his profile. The boy's name is Taehoon Seong, from Gangbuk High, 18 years old, former member of H country's emerging stand-up fighting team. He was kicked out of the league for being unable to correct his thuggish behavior. Snapper, seeing Taehoon practice taekwondo, laughed loudly, thinking Gangbuk High were all idiots, getting beaten by someone who practiced taekwondo. Even he knew taekwondo's weaknesses. Just then, Gaeul suddenly appeared, telling him not to talk nonsense about things he didn't understand. She explained to them that taekwondo is divided into competitive and practical combat. Competitive taekwondo is generally used for competition to determine winners, while practical taekwondo is a standing fighting technique to knock opponents down. And taekwondo's instantaneous speed and power far exceeds Muay Thai and Capoeira. Although taekwondo has obvious weaknesses, he has a finishing move that even star players like Taekwondo Good must be careful of. That is the essence of taekwondo, the back spin kick. After Gaeul's explanation, Hobin was completely stunned. He was no small-time thug. He was clearly a professional player, although strongly recommended by fans. He couldn't let himself be sent to die. Little did he know the method to win was right in front of him. Scene changes to Taehoon on his way home. Seeing the man beaten yesterday blocking his way with 2 minions, he kicked without hesitation, hitting one of them in the abdomen, then smiled slightly. Do you have 501 coins? I want to play games. Seeing Taehoon so arrogant, Fatty looked gloomy. What's so great about learning taekwondo? In my eyes, it's just a leg-kicking dance. He lunged at Taehoon, wanting to strike first, but Taehoon easily dodged with a sidestep. Taehoon countered with a flying kick, hitting another Fatty hard, followed by a spin kick. Fatty tried to defend while dazed, but Taehoon instantly switched feet and kicked him again. Seeing their boss kicked without any chance to fight back, the minions were stunned. Seeing Taehoon about to kick again, Fatty hastily shouted, "I'm sorry! I was wrong." Taehoon smiled slightly. Do you have 501 coins? Fatty hurriedly reached for money, but Taehoon looked at a minion nearby. I'm not asking you, I'm asking him. The minion froze, about to take out money, when Taehoon immediately lifted his leg to kick, then stepped on Fatty's head, asking the minion again, do you have 50,000 won? Before the minion could answer, he kicked Fatty again. Do you have 5 million won? I want to play games. Seeing his friend continuously beaten, the minion could only kneel and apologize. But Taehoon showed no intention of stopping. Snapper, secretly filming from afar, was stunned. This isn't human, he's completely crazy. Just as he was considering whether to cancel the plan, Taehoon suddenly looked in his direction. Snapper hurriedly hid, then found Hobin to report his work. Before he could finish speaking, Taehoon appeared in front of them, with an evil smile looking at Snapper. Why were you secretly filming me? Snapper smiled bitterly, scratching his head. Because your taekwondo is very cool, I couldn't help it. Just when Hobin thought this nonsense could get them off the hook, a sudden exclamation came from afar. Gaeul was rushing towards them indignantly. What are you doing? Are you trying to bully my people? But as soon as she got close, she realized it was Taehoon, just when Hobin thought she would be brave like Bomi. Unexpectedly, Gaeul just kicked stones nearby. So, the hostages became 3. Taehoon looked at the 3 nodding and bowing in front of him. You're from the fighting livestream, right? The people who want to fight me. Seeing their true identity exposed, the 3 were so scared they hastily backed away. Taehoon bent down to look at Hobin. Give me your channel, before Hobin could react. Snapper was kicked flying. This is Taehoon's song. What he wants, he won't directly go for you. He'll hit your friends. And what he truly wants is the humiliation of watching your friend get beaten while you're helpless. Taehoon approached the shocked Hobin. Fighting, do you have 501 coins? Before Hobin understood what he meant, Taehoon kicked Snapper. Lifting his head, looks like you don't. Then give me your channel. Hobin trembled and said, we can talk this over. Taehoon kicked towards him, but stopped just in front of Hobin without hitting him. Taehoon smiled, seems you're not willing. Unexpectedly, Hobin immediately agreed. This not only shocked his 2 companions, even Taehoon looked incredulous. Actually, Hobin had already rehearsed in his mind. His calf kicks and hooks wouldn't even get close to Taehoon. Afterwards, Snapper was hospitalized because that back leg kick broke his ribs. Snapper was very angry at Hobin for agreeing to hand over the account, feeling he lacked his previous courage. But how could he understand Hobin's difficulties? After leaving the hospital, Hobin went to the arcade, deliberately using an ordinary character to beat Taehoon, thus provoking the Taekwondo-obsessed Taehoon, then proposed a duel in a month. If he lost, he'd give him the account. Taehoon wasn't so easily persuaded, but under Hobin's provocation, he agreed to a duel in a month, with the time and place set by Hobin. But when he returned to the hospital to tell the others the news, Gaeul nearly tore him apart. Hobin didn't explain much, only saying to Snapper, I understand you, then left the hospital because he knew he didn't have much time. At home, Hobin opened Samdak's video tutorial, How to Fight Chapter 3. Hobin persisted in training his whole body strength, but despite his efforts, Samdak still told him, you can't win. It's obvious even without thinking. How could an ordinary person beat a professional? If hit by the opponent's back kick, you might lose your life. Hoban was stunned, just when he didn't know what to do. Samdak suddenly started dancing, "I'm a professional at fighting." Seeing this, Hoban immediately took out his notebook and started recording Samdak's winning method. Against Taekwondo with strong leg techniques, to win, you must prevent them from kicking. Choose narrow, steep, or even slippery places to fight, but even with environmental advantages. An ordinary person's winning probability is only 5%. Then Samdak taught Hoban the leg takedown to increase the win rate to 40%. Following Samdak's advice, he again treated the bathroom as his home, practicing leg takedowns in water, using water resistance to train muscle endurance and cardiopulmonary endurance, to enhance instantaneous acceleration power. That day, Snapper and Gale suddenly came to Hoban's house, looking around but not seeing him, until they heard a sound from the closet. Opening it, they found Hoban hanging inside. The exhausted Hoban greeted them, swaying as he stood up, using homemade airbags to practice lifting. While Snapper wondered why Hoban wasn't practicing fighting techniques but training abs, Gayul immediately saw the point, explaining Hoban was training his body to at least withstand one attack. Then she immediately came forward to help, stomping on Hoban's abdomen repeatedly. Snapper, filming nearby, instantly showed envious eyes. So, a month quietly passed. The day of Hoban's challenge to Taehoon arrived. After setting the location, he began praying for heavy rain. But the bright sunshine didn't look like it would rain at all. Then Hoban remembered Samdak's words. If you can't block the opponent's leg techniques, an ordinary person can't win. Remembering his past humiliation, Hoban instantly lost his fighting spirit and ran away, leaving Snapper confused. But Hoban's escape was just seen by Taehoon, who was relieving himself. This made him smile slightly, thinking he had already won. Just as Taehoon was thinking about when to claim the account, a stream of water was directly poured on him. Taehoon turned his head gloomily, seeing Hoban holding a water hose, looking at him provokingly. Taehoon was successfully angered. Just as he was about to teach Hoban a lesson, a huge water flow again sprayed from the hose. Hoban created artificial rain to block Taehoon's leg techniques, making it impossible for him to kick. Taehoon, momentarily disoriented, slipped. Hoban seized the opportunity, diving for a takedown, but was punched away by Taehoon. "You think I only use my legs?" Hoban didn't give up, attacking again. But Taehoon still dominated him even without using his legs, because Taehoon's striking speed was too fast for Hoban to react. Just when Taehoon was enjoying himself, Hoban suddenly delivered a calf kick, hitting him hard. The sudden pain made Taehoon hold his calf. He also noticed Hoban was wearing non-slip shoes. But even so, Taehoon, relying on his punching speed and agile footwork, still beat Hoban badly. Hoban could only try to dodge while sneaking in calf kicks. Towards the end, he directly adopted a damage exchange approach. But each time he kicked, he would shout the move's name. But Taehoon wasn't so stupid. He had already seen the video of Hoban defeating Paco. Just when he naively thought Hoban would use the hook punch again, he was suddenly taken down with a leg grab, thrown hard to the ground. Hoban pretended to raise his fist, but switched to an open palm at the moment of swing, grabbing Taehoon's collar. The other hand followed, executing a cross choke. This was why he had hung himself in the closet. While Hoban was using all his strength, he silently counted down, because Samdak had said, the choke person needs 10 seconds to pass out. But 10 seconds passed, and Taehoon remained calm, showing no signs of fainting. Because Hoban was too hasty, he neglected the leg part. The moment he realized the problem, Taehoon punched him hard in the face, sending him flying dozens of meters. Getting up with difficulty, Hoban regretted not being calmer. Suddenly Taehoon came to him with a non-slip shoe. "Why do you think I let you grab me?" Hoban finally realized Taehoon deliberately let himself be tackled to steal the non-slip shoes. The moment Taehoon put on the non-slip shoes, Hoban remembered Samdak's words. If you can't block their leg techniques, then run. Because their sealed leg techniques have the power of a 1-ton truck. Meanwhile, Moonsong Kim was also watching the live stream, although Bomi beside him said she wouldn't watch out of spite. Her body was honest, but just as she leaned in, Moonsong Kim turned off his phone. Because from Hoban's movements he seemed to have guessed the outcome. But Hoban didn't give up. He actually tried to sneak closer while Taehoon was trying on the shoes, ready to use his old trick. But a giant foot suddenly appeared in front of him, while he was distracted. His abdomen was kicked hard. Hoban only felt difficulty breathing, vision blurring. But he still didn't give up, wanting to swing at Taehoon. But he couldn't even touch the other's foot. Attacks from all angles. Hoban had no ability to resist. Taehoon finally executed a back kick, perfectly ending the fight. Looking at Hoban sitting paralyzed on the ground, Taehoon walked up to him. "You're lucky, only hit by my left foot. And you're too skinny, I didn't dare hit hard." Then he went to Snapper. "I'll be in your care from now on. Who should we fight next?" Before Snapper could answer, Hoban staggered out of the bathroom. Effort had not betrayed him. Seeing Hoban again in fighting stance, even shouting for fans to remember to like, Taehoon smiled slightly, walking confidently towards Hoban. "You think I can't use leg techniques in a small space?" He directly turned for a back kick. Little did he know, this was exactly what Hoban was waiting for. He directly used the doorframe, jumping to avoid the attack, then clamped Taehoon with both legs. taking him down. Using a move he had practiced countless times, he executed a wrapping choke. This time he wouldn't make the same mistake. This perfect move even surprised Moonsong Kim. Tightly choked, Taehoon remembered the humiliation of his first defeat. He lost to the same move. The former Taehoon once vowed to prove to the world that Taekwondo was the strongest. But in the ring he met that man. Since then, he had fallen into a slump, wallowing in degradation. Taehoon began tapping Hobin's shoulder, the MMA signal for surrender. But even so, Hobin didn't let go, because he knew this was a fight. Snapper, fearing something would happen, hurried to stop him. But Hobin still only released Taehoon after counting to 10. After winning, they didn't leave immediately. Instead, they thoughtfully massaged Taehoon's feet. The awakened Taehoon grabbed Hobin's neck. Looking gloomy, "Are you trying to mock me?" Hobin hurriedly explained he was concerned, then took out the wristband symbolizing Taehoon's identity. "This is yours, right? You dropped it when kicking. You seem to cherish it." Taehoon snatched the watch, warning Hobin never to appear before him again, then left without looking back. Seeing this, Hobin couldn't help but sigh in relief, then immediately inserted an advertisement. The filming was successfully completed. The video, edited by Gaeul, reached 3 million views. But Taehoon also became famous with a handsome photo. Of course, Bomi couldn't miss Hobin's video, but while she was secretly watching, a muscular young man suddenly appeared at the front desk. Scene changes. This is a group of pranksters making money off live streams. When people are not paying attention, they scare people with realistic toys, recording their frightened moments, and Gaeul was often the target. She wanted to take back the recorded video, but was lifted up by a mean girl. Just as she was about to accept her fate, Snapper's voice came from outside. Seeing his crush being bullied, how could he stand it? Unexpectedly, he was knocked down with one punch. Hyunjun thought Snapper was brought by Gaeul, ready to teach him a lesson. But as his palm was about to fall, Hobin caught it. Seeing several people surrounding them, Hobin knew he couldn't lose in presence. He suddenly thought of Taehoon. Hobin looked at them gloomily. "Do you have 501 coins?" Unexpectedly, Hyunjun directly gave him a coin. "You think you're Taehoon Seong?" Hobin felt like crawling into a hole from embarrassment. Just as the two sides were about to fight, Moonsong Kim suddenly appeared and saved the three. Afterwards, he found Hobin alone, wanting him to contact Bomi. Hobin was stunned, thinking of his former cowardly self. He didn't immediately agree but walked away dejectedly. Meanwhile, Gaeul, returning home, kept thinking about how Hobin had saved her, and became restless with emotion. The next day, Hobin came to the store, facing the surprised Bomi. He gathered his courage and asked for a strawberry ice, but Bomi gave him a bowl of free ice, then walked away angrily, making Hobin lower his head in disappointment. He gritted his teeth, ready to leave with the plate. But apology words written on his hand were seen by Bomi. Seeing her laugh, Hobin immediately moved closer. After this small episode, the two reconciled. Having resolved his relationship issues, Hobin started researching videos of the people who bullied Gaeul with Snapper and Gaeul, only to discover they gained 700,000 fans by pranking passersby, then sincerely apologizing. This made Hobin tempted. He also wanted to film such videos. After all, just throwing toy snakes could easily earn millions. But Snapper looked serious. Not everyone can film these videos. Their videos are popular because when filming, there's no script or process, which means accidents can happen. At the same time, Gaeul also discovered something wrong. Those people's videos were spliced together. Just as the two finished speaking, Hobin received a message from Bomi. He happily opened his phone, but was shocked by the message. Bomi had an accident. Moonsong Kim, who arrived at the hospital first, immediately asked what happened, only to learn from Bomi that while happily chatting with Hobin, someone suddenly called her from behind. But when she turned around, she saw a poisonous snake. Bomi was frightened and kept backing away, accidentally spraining her ankle. But those who scared her were just laughing. Hobin at the door also heard what happened. Seeing his gloomy face, Bomi quickly said she was fine. Hobin didn't say much, just told Bomi to rest well, then turned and left the ward. He seemed to have found his next target. Leaving the hospital, Hobin started learning fighting at home. But Samdak told him, for beginners who have never been trained, there's no method to defeat multiple people. Hobin was already well aware of Samdak's theory. As he calmly waited for a solution, Samdak suddenly said goodbye. Hobin was surprised. This wasn't following the script. The next second, Samdak appeared again. Although you can't defeat them, you can win. But after learning Samdak's method, he didn't choose to fight. Instead, he secretly followed them, wanting to expose their fakery. Unexpectedly, after following them half a day, he didn't find any clues. In the crucial moment, Snapper came through. He found evidence of Hyunjun hiring actors in a very old video. But Hobin felt this wasn't enough to deliver a fatal blow. Then Rumi suddenly appeared. Looking at the beautiful girl before him, Hobin had an idea. Thus, the spilling coffee on a known sister prank plan was born. After filming, Hyunjun immediately praised Rumi for her talent for fakery. Rumi gave him a heart. As long as we can make money, who cares about those stupid viewers? This statement was endorsed by the three. Hyunjun came to her side, proposing to film another video to make more money. Rumi immediately showed an excited expression. Unexpectedly, the three proposed to expose Hobin's fighting livestream as fake. Rumi looked at Hyunjun in surprise, but they're not fake, are they? Hyunjun looked unconcerned. Just edit it to look fake. We have more subscribers. The idiots will believe it's the truth. Having achieved her goal, Rumi smiled and refused, preparing to leave. But Hyunjun took out the video of her insulting fans. Rumi countered with the same tactic, showing Hobin's phone with the livestream on. The three were stunned. Hobin, Snapper, and Gayul made a flashy entrance in leather jackets. After a cool high-five with Rumi, Hobin glared at the three fiercely. Can't you film without faking? Hyunjun and his friends were so scared they hastily backed away. This was exactly the method Samdak taught to defeat multiple opponents, using a terrifying presence plus bluffing as a predator identity to make enemies feel fear, commonly known as putting on airs. Just when Hobin thought he was dominating, his right foot suddenly twisted. His shoe flew off, revealing height-increasing insoles inside. Despite this, he still pretended to be tough. The big guy, having recovered, instantly swung at him. Hobin used his getting hit technique to take it, countering with a calf kick. But just as he was about to use his hook punch, he was kicked in the back by Hyunjun. Taken down, Hobin seemed completely deaf to everyone's mockery, because in his mind, he was only analyzing why he had failed. This was also the first time his mind didn't hear Samdak's voice. Having figured it out, Hobin escaped to a narrow alley, a place that could only accommodate one-on-one. He had grown without realizing it, but both opponents had taken his calf kicks without showing pain. Hobin thought they didn't work, but Munsong Kim watching the livestream saw at once. The two couldn't move now, but what confused him was why Hyunjun, who wasn't hit, also wasn't moving. Then Munsong Kim's teacher Gracie Logan, UFC's third-weight champion, told him it was because of momentum, that gorilla-like momentum. At this moment, Hobin also felt something strange in his body. He was actually eager for the opponent to attack, but Gayul's appearance broke the deadlock and gave Hyunjun a way out. Although this incident ended like this, it caused something to awaken in Hobin. His talent began to sprout. After that, Hyunjun never bullied Gayul again. Life seemed to have returned to normal, but something unexpected happened. That day, Bomi was going home after work. She met Manji Huang, the muscular customer who often came to her workplace. Just as Manji Huang was about to grab Bomi, Munsong Kim appeared in time and caught his hand. Seeing his advances interrupted, Manji Huang grabbed Munsong Kim's neck, telling him to get lost. Munsong Kim quickly used rapping to control Manji Huang's arm. Just when he thought he had won, Manji Huang directly lifted him up, smashing him hard towards the ground. But at the moment of landing, he disappeared. Munsong Kim, having created distance, prepared to get serious, but his perfect abs angered Manji Huang, who ignored the thrown-away Bomi and charged at Munsong Kim. Just as the two were about to clash, Hobin came running, shouting. At this moment, Hobin only saw the injured Bomi, but before he could reach her, he was grabbed by Manji Huang, lifted up like a small ant, smashed hard to the ground. Without even time to scream, he passed out. It wasn't his fault. Manji Huang had won the wrestling championship at 18. A monster with immense strength. Disgraced in front of Bomi again, Hobin felt life was hopeless. No matter how Gayul and Snapper tried to persuade him, he wouldn't come out of the storage closet. He was again dominated by fear. Hobin didn't have even a bit of confidence in beating Manji Huang. Snapper bent down to comfort him. Just pretend it never happened. But Gayul suddenly shouted. The two curiously gathered around. Unexpectedly, Manji Huang was exposing on the platform that he had defeated the fighter. Seeing the matter escalate, Snapper couldn't help but worry, because viewers would definitely call for revenge. Thinking of the huge difference in strength, Snapper immediately warned Hobin. This time he mustn't be impulsive, he would handle it. At this moment, Hobin only felt a tightness in his chest, struggling to breathe. In the evening, Snapper explained to fans. This friction was just an accident. Originally, not having to fight Manji Huang was a good thing, but Hobin couldn't be happy at all. He hated his cowardly self. But if he didn't fight, what about Bomi? Hobin couldn't help opening Samdak's tutorial. As expected, an ordinary person without technique absolutely cannot defeat a professional wrestler. This time there's really no way. Even escaping is difficult for an ordinary person encountering a wrestler, because their basic training is running at full speed on sand. But even after hearing this, Hobin still decided to fight. After all preparations, he called Snapper, telling him to film at Manji Huang's workplace. In this extremely excited state, he actually felt an urge to fight, even thinking fighting was very fun. Soon, Hobin found Manji Huang. Without a word, he grabbed his chest. Snapper, arriving late, immediately started the live stream. Seeing the intimate posture of the two, he thought it was Hobin's new move. Little did he know, this was just a method to anger the opponent. Having achieved his goal, Hobin immediately used calf kicks. Seeing he hit Manji Huang, Hobin thought he had succeeded. But after kicking 28 times continuously, the opponent showed no reaction. He himself felt a stinging in his calves. He didn't know that wrestlers, in order not to fall, train even their toes, making them monsters. Hobin watched Manji Huang walking towards him, remembered Samdak's advice to run away, but he adopted a backward running method. Manji Huang instantly caught up, but was punched in the face by Hobin. because regardless of the movement, when running there's no defensive state. Just as Hoban wondered why Manji Huang had no reaction, his hands were suddenly grabbed, lifted up like a chicken, and mocked about not eating enough. Hoban quickly broke free, wanting to use choking techniques, but Manji Huang's neck was thick and short, impossible to grab. Having used all his moves, Hoban finally realized, as Samdak said, an ordinary person can't possibly defeat a wrestler. While he was in a daze, Manji Huang executed a suplex, slamming Hoban hard on the ground. Manji Huang stood up, looking at Hoban lying like a dead dog on the ground, suddenly pulled something from his body. Snapper was shocked, thinking it was Hoban's spine. Looking closely, he found it was a cycling safety gear, a spine protector. At the same time, Hoban also staggered to his feet. Manji Huang, seeing this, pounced again. He looked at the approaching Manji Huang, his face showing no fear. Instantly executed a back kick. Taehoon, watching the livestream, couldn't help but smile. It turned out Hoban had gone to find Taehoon before challenging Manji Huang. But as soon as he mentioned learning the back kick, he was kicked away. Because when losing last time, Taehoon said if Hoban dared appear before him again, he would beat Hoban into an idiot. Taehoon looked at the boy who escaped a beating thanks to a book. Why do you want to learn the back kick? Hoban, enduring the intense pain, said, because after experiencing it firsthand, I found being attacked by Taekwondo is the most painful. I think Taekwondo is the strongest. Taehoon was stunned. He remembered his former self, who once wanted to prove Taekwondo was the strongest fighting technique, because it was overlooked by the public. This way, Hoban gained a second master, and through hard work, successfully learned the back kick. Manji Huang, being kicked, instantly writhed in pain. But Hoban felt something was wrong. Looking back, he realized he had kicked Manji Huang's second brother. But Manji Huang acted like nothing happened and instantly hugged him. Hoban was stunned. Did wrestlers train even their private parts? Seeing the opponent use another suplex, Hoban immediately reached out, trying to grab something to support himself. Unexpectedly, he pulled off a clump of fake hair. Who could have imagined that the 18-year-old Manji Huang was already bald? The two didn't fight further. After talking, Hoban realized Manji Huang wasn't inherently bad. He just simply wanted to find a girlfriend before going completely bald. And the incident with Bomi was a complete misunderstanding. He saw Moonsong Kim following Bomi, so he mistook Moonsong Kim for a stalker. Manji Huang had intended to protect Bomi. Just his approach was a bit off. He live-streamed to get famous and find a girlfriend. But now that his baldness was exposed, he decided to quit streaming. Hoban, hearing this, immediately shouted for him not to give up, then handed the phone to Manji Huang. The fans' encouraging messages made Manji Huang feel strength. Through this livestream, the Three's channel gradually became famous, and an unknown person also found them. At this time, Hoban, unaware of the trouble, was immersed in boundless joy, because the nurse told him his mother had a matching kidney donor, surgery possible in a month. Although the surgery cost 20 million, for him now, it wasn't an issue at all. He turned to look at his silent companions, excitedly telling the nurse he could provide the money, then happily hugged Snapper, asking when the next payment would arrive. Seeing Snapper silent, Hoban also sensed something wrong. What's wrong with you? You seem a bit unhappy. Snapper grabbed Hoban's shoulders. You must stay calm, I'm already investigating. Then told Hoban. All videos had been flagged, the channel temporarily had no income. Hoban stood frozen, then grabbed Snapper's collar excitedly, asking how this could happen. Gail, seeing this, handed Hoban a soda, telling him to take a sip, calm down. Then, Snapper shared his guess. Since all videos were flagged at once, and there was nothing wrong with the videos themselves, it must be someone attacking them. He had reported to the platform, but results would take a month. Hoban was shocked because a month later was exactly when his mother's surgery was scheduled. Snapper suggested pausing filming, because, without knowing the cause, every uploaded video might get a flag. After hearing this, Hoban ran off. He couldn't wait. After so long, he finally got this surgery. If it was delayed due to lack of money, what if something happened? To earn money, Hoban started live streaming with Rumi, and it was during this collaboration, he discovered that the seemingly glamorous Rumi was actually like him, struggling to survive. Out of sympathy, he gave Rumi what Gaul had given him. This heartwarming gesture successfully moved Rumi's heart. Meanwhile, Snapper also found a blogger with the same experience based on fan tips. After talking, he learned from Korong. The account was maliciously attacked, with the platform determining copyright violations leading to flags. And then a fake streamer would appear on the platform, with almost identical content to yours. As long as you upload new work, it would be flagged, forcing you to abandon the channel. While Snapper was learning this news, Hoban also discovered on his phone a channel with the same name. A man with fierce tattoos on his body, yet acts like a fool in front of classmates every day, despite being incredibly strong. He pretends not to know how to fight, even faking excitement in front of the camera after defeating opponents. The reason Hyoksu does this is because of someone's orders, and the three who noticed this imposter watch the copycat's videos feeling very frustrated. After discussing for a long time without finding a solution, Hoban slowly loses hope. The video being flagged was already troublesome enough. Now there's also an impersonator. He doesn't know how to pay for his mother's surgery. Hoban walks outside in despair. He needs some time alone right now. Just then, a phone call comes through. Hoban never expected the person copying his channel would approach him directly. He immediately asks what the other party wants. Hyoksu reveals a sinister smile. "I'll give you 30 million, how about selling your channel to me?" With these words, Hoban instantly realizes the other person is the one who's been messing with his channel. He angrily shouts at Hyoksu, "You bastard! Do you have a 501 coin?" Then he immediately throws a hook punch, wanting to teach Hyoksu a lesson. Unexpectedly, he gets hit hard in the stomach instead. The intense pain makes Hoban feel like he's been hit with a hammer. When not live streaming, Hyoksu shows his true face. As Hoban gets up, he attempts a low kick, but Hyoksu easily blocks it by raising his leg, then counters with a punch that hits Hoban hard in the face. The battle is completely one-sided. Hoban uses all his fighting techniques but can't hurt Hyoksu at all. Instead, he gets beaten like a dead dog. Hyoksu looks at the young man kneeling before him. "Have you thought it through? Will you sell?" Seeing Hoban lowering his head in silence, Hyoksu grabs his hair and pulls his head up. "Let me be honest. Us taking over your channel is just a matter of time. The reason we're offering money is because my boss doesn't want to waste time." Hoban endures the severe pain and says, "Not selling." Hyoksu immediately slaps him in the face. "You will sell, right?" And so, Hoban says not selling thousands of times, and receives thousands of slaps. Finally, Hoban gives in, because he learns from Hyoksu's words that the other side is a huge organization. He understands that even if he resists this time, they will come again. Hyoksu's ruthless methods give him a sense of fear about having any involvement with them. When the late-arriving snapper hears Hoban sold the channel, he immediately gets upset, hurriedly asking what he was thinking. After all, the channel was the result of all three of them working hard together. But when he sees Hoban's swollen face, he doesn't blame him anymore. The two sit down in front of a shop. Snapper sighs, "It's a shame the channel is gone. I thought it would be a good solution." These words catch Hoban's attention. Time quickly arrives at the signing day. Hyoksu has just assured his boss he will secure Hoban's account. When he sees the two appearing before him, he doesn't waste words, telling Hoban to sign quickly. Unexpectedly, Hoban says he's not selling anymore. Hyoksu angrily grabs his hair. "Have you forgotten your fear?" Suddenly, the sound of livestream rewards rings out. Hoban immediately shows a foolish smile, repeatedly mumbling that he won't sell the account. This is Snapper's method to make the account profitable again. The livestream reward system, also a money therapy to help Hoban overcome his fear. But when Snapper announces the challenge begins, Hoban starts doing aerobic exercises. This move leaves Hyoksu completely confused. But looking at Snapper filming, he seems to realize something. Then he puts on a foolish smile and loudly claims he can't fight. Now it's Hoban's turn to be stunned. He clearly remembers how badly he was beaten a week ago. But now, the other party is acting like a fool because of the live stream, while Hoban is wondering if this is a trick. The live stream reward sound rings again and he transforms like a different person, immediately launching a low kick, only to be blocked by Hyoksu, who has his back to the camera. His face shows an evil smile, again claiming he can't fight. Hoban doesn't believe it at all, but as the fight continues, Snapper finally notices something wrong. Because Hyoksu doesn't fight back, it gives viewers the impression he's being bullied, causing all the comments to support him. After realizing they've fallen into a trap, Snapper hurriedly warns Hoban. When Hoban hears that the fans aren't supporting him but Hyoksu instead, he's stunned. Meanwhile, Hyoksu knows it's time for his counterattack. He headbutts Hoban, sending him flying, then follows up with a punch. While hitting Hoban, he's observing the audience's reactions, using dirty tricks whenever the camera isn't capturing it. Hoban knows that if Hyoksu continues fighting this way, all the techniques he learned to counter him will be useless. While being beaten, he thinks of a way to expose Hyoksu. Suddenly, Hoban comes up with an idea. He lunges and pins Hyoksu against the iron fence. Hyoksu smiles confidently, thinking Hoban is going to use a submission technique. Unexpectedly, his clothes are ripped open, revealing his full body tattoos. The comment section immediately explodes. At the same time, Hoban takes off his own shirt, showing his bruised back, loudly reminding fans that this is what a real outsider's body looks like. Then he exposes Hyoksu. After nearly sending his homeroom teacher to heaven with violence, Hyoksu was forced to transfer schools. As for not knowing how to fight, that's complete nonsense, because he had won an amateur fighting championship. With his true identity exposed, Hyoksu drops the act. This sudden change in aura frightens Hoban into hugging Snapper. Suddenly, the livestream reward sound rings again. Hoban instantly revives, doing aerobic exercises. This is what he learned from Samduk, the secret to defeating kickboxing. Although Hoban believes in Samduk, after the fight with Taehoon Seong, Hoban knows the importance of practical experience, so he decides to experience it himself. Hoban finds Munsong Kim and asks him to fight using only kickboxing. But once Hoban steps into the ring, he regrets it, because he feels like Munseong Kim might accidentally kill him, even though he trains with Munseong Kim until he vomits. When facing Hyoksu's kickboxing, he still has no way to fight back. Whether it's low kicks or the painless getting hit method, all are perfectly countered by his opponent. Just as Hoban is about to use a leg takedown, He suddenly remembers Munseong Kim's warning when facing a kickboxer, never use leg takedowns. Because in kickboxing there's a move called the knee strike. Hobin narrowly avoids the knee strike and counters with a back kick. But Hyoksu easily avoids it using footwork. Hobin never thought kickboxers were this strong. While he's distracted, Hyoksu kicks Hobin's leg. A kickboxer strike can break a baseball bat. The severe pain in his leg immediately distorts Hobin's face. Seeing this, Snapper quickly tells him to use the move Munseong Kim taught him. But that move's conditions are too strict. He simply can't do it. Facing Hyoksu's next attack, Hobin grits his teeth, using aerobic dance to avoid the attack. He originally didn't want to use this embarrassing move, but in the emergency he couldn't care about his dignity. Hobin dancing while fighting. Though it looks like the aerobics that middle-aged women often do, it's actually imitating Muay Thai's defensive style, and can even confuse the enemy. Seeing Hyoksu momentarily distracted, Hobin thinks his chance has come and lunges forward, wanting to close the distance and use Samdak's killing technique. Hyoksu reacts quickly, grabbing Hobin's neck, then executes a neck collar knee strike hitting Hobin hard in the abdomen, then grabs his hair, ready to end the fight with a knee strike. Suddenly Tae-hoon Song appears, kicking him away. Looking at the handsome figure before him, Hobin is stunned, happy thinking Tae-hoon Seong came to help him. Unexpectedly, Tae-hoon Seong gives him a weird smile, then comes to Hobin's side. Why did you go to Munseong Kim to learn MMA instead of learning Taekwondo from me? Just as Hobin doesn't know how to answer, Hyoksu suddenly speaks up, mocking Tae-hoon Seong that a professional fighter was actually defeated by an ordinary person. These words are like Hobin's lifeline. He immediately tells Tae-hoon Song that Hyoksu has been belittling Taekwondo. Tae-hoon Song's attention is successfully diverted. He smiles at Hyoksu. Do you have a 501 coin? A battle between Taekwondo and kickboxing is about to erupt. But just as Tae-hoon Song is about to kick, Hobin suddenly pulls him from behind. Tae-hoon Song suppresses his anger and asks Hobin what he wants to do. Hobin is silent for a moment, then tells Tae-hoon Song the channel's purpose is for outsiders to challenge school bullies. If Tae-hoon Song steps in, it would go against his channel's purpose. Seeing Hobin so determined, Tae-hoon Seong chooses to trust him. Just then, the livestream reward sound rings again. Hobin immediately revives, dancing toward Hyoksu with his aerobic moves, only to be kicked hard in the abdomen, almost knocking him out. Seeing this, Hyoksu shows a playful expression. Why do you keep trying to get close to me? Hobin doesn't answer, again taking the aerobic stance. Following Samdak's teaching, he moves to Hyoksu's diagonal direction, trying to counter his front kick. But Hyoksu uses footwork to create distance, then punches Hobin hard in the face. But Hobin is like a cockroach that can't be killed. He attacks Hyoksu again, forcing him to continuously retreat, until he has nowhere to back up to. When Hobin makes contact with his body, Hyoksu's professional habit kicks in. He looks at Snapper, reminding him that Hobin fouled. In kickboxing matches, audiences want to see heated confrontations between fighters. So whenever one side is cornered, the referee steps in to stop it. Snapper is confused. What if he touched you? I'm not a referee. Hyoksu then realizes this is a real fight, not a match. He instinctively grabs Hobin's neck, wanting to use a knee strike, not knowing this is exactly what Hobin has been waiting for. He firmly grips Hyoksu's arms, using the iron fence behind to immobilize him, then swings his elbow hard at Hyoksu's chin. This is the elbow strike from traditional Muay Thai, and the ultimate purpose of his aerobic exercises was to execute this move, as Hobin's elbow continuously swings. Finally, Hyoksu falls at his feet. The live stream ends successfully. Hobin uses the live stream rewards to pay for his mother's surgery. Even the content warning flag on his work was removed. Little does he know, this was all intentionally orchestrated by someone. The Happy Trio doesn't know. They've been targeted by a terrifying entity, a food blogger with 5 million followers, who is secretly a tattooed gangster boss. Not only keeps a whale as a pet, but also bathes people in boiling oil. He is Jun Song, Hyoksu's behind-the-scenes boss. Besides Hyoksu, Jun Song has a large group of live streamers with millions of followers, such as the Study live streamer Yeonwoo Ji with 1.4 million followers, the Expose live streamer One Punch TV with 1.5 million followers, the Wilderness Survival live streamer Lazily Made Channel with 2 million followers, the Beauty or Animal live streamer 244 with 2.7 million followers. Because of Hyoksu's failed plan, Jun Song directly targets Hobin himself. One day, while Hobin is flirting with his goddess Bomi, he suddenly receives a meal voucher from a fan, since he can bring one companion. After careful consideration, Hobin brings Snapper along. When the two see who invited them, they immediately get excited. They can't believe a blogger with 5 million followers would invite a small fry like him to dinner, and even claim to be his fan, making Hobin feel quite shy. Just then, Jun Song extends an invitation to Hobin, hoping to work together. The reason being that Hobin's hunger for money reminds him of his own impoverished past. Although Hobin is surprised, he doesn't immediately agree. He says he doesn't know much about XJ Company. Jun Song quickly explains that XJ is a live streaming company that discovers talented live streamers, helping them support each other. Snapper, who understands, tells the confused Hobin that Jun Song wants to be his backer. At the moment, Jun Song is recruiting Hobin. Taehoon Song, who is playing video games, Rumi, who is preparing for bed, and Manji Huang, who is live streaming, also receive invitations from XJ Company. Meanwhile, Jun Song offers Hobin a signing fee of 100 million. With these words, Hobin feels like he's dreaming, until Snapper reminds him. He immediately grabs Jun Seong's hand. Just as Hobin is about to say "I'm in" and starts sucking up to his new boss, Hyoksu suddenly appears with a knife. Seeing this, Jun Song can't help but sigh, then walks over to Hyoksu. Watching the confrontation, Hobin thinks Hyoksu is there to ambush him. Little does he know, Hyoksu came for revenge after learning Jun Song was abandoning him to recruit Hobin's channel. After questioning Jun Song, Hyoksu is about to stab him, but Jun Song catches the blade with his hand, seeing that Hyoksu really intends to stab him. Jun Song slowly leans to his ear. "Have you ever stabbed someone? Let me tell you, Hyoksu, there are two types of people I will never forgive. One is those who want to stab me, the other is those who have stabbed me, because they speak too quietly." Hobin can't hear their conversation at all. Unexpectedly, Hyoksu suddenly charges at him. Jun Song immediately acts controlling Hyoksu, then looks at Hobin with a slight smile. "We'll talk again next time." After returning, Hobin immediately gathers Rumi and Manji Huang, telling them his plan to cooperate with Jun Song, just as he excitedly invites them to join. A yandere beautiful girl suddenly appears. She is Gyeol Han, the expose blogger under Jun Song. Hobin doesn't know the girl's true identity yet, only hearing her say she's his fan. Gyeol Han links arms with Hobin, asking him to carry her on his back. How could Hobin refuse a fan's request, especially a beautiful one? He immediately positions himself to carry her. Just as he's wondering why no one is climbing on, he's suddenly pressed hard against the table. The person looks at him darkly. "Who do you think you are to carry her?" Seeing this, Gyeol Han's face shows a smug smile. Hobin still doesn't realize he's been set up. At the same time, Manji Huang also stands up, just as Wang Guk-han tells Hobin he hates people who overstep boundaries. Taehoon Song suddenly appears, lifting Gyeol Han's bag strap, looking at Wang Guk-han. Is that so? A battle of the century is about to erupt. After rescuing Hobin from Wang Guk-han, the three face off. Looking at Wang Guk-han's deadpan face, Manji Huang strikes first, but Wang Guk-han dodges sideways. Watching the three fighting, Gyeol Han smiles strangely. This scene is deliberately captured by Rumi, who had already recognized Gyeol Han's identity. Looking at the perfect photo on her phone, Rumi declares she'll post it on social media. Gyeol Han immediately panics. Rumi smiles slightly, exposing Gyeol Han as an attention seeker who likes to act, making things develop as she wants, and getting pleasure from it, a psychopath. Noticing Gyeol Han's emotional change, Wang Guk-han grabs Rumi's collar, demanding to know what she said. Taehoon Song immediately kicks Wang Guk-han in the face. "Are you asking for a beating?" Just as Wang Guk-han is about to retaliate, Gyeol Han suddenly speaks, "I'm leaving." Wang Guk-han immediately lowers his fist, looking toward the door. As he leaves, he touches his kicked face, giving them a meaningful look. Unexpectedly, Taehoon Song directly makes an international gesture, mocking him as a dog. They're actually pitiful people too. Knowing Gyeol Han's temperament, Wang Guk-han warns her not to seek revenge on Rumi. Gyeol Han immediately changes the subject, not directly answering. While the excited group has no idea a conspiracy is about to unfold. After a busy day, Rumi suddenly realizes what she said to Gyeol Han earlier might have been too harsh. Although just casual words, she knows, people with Gyeol Han's personality type usually have been hurt in the past. Just as she's thinking about when to apologize to Gyeol Han, her phone suddenly rings. Rumi picks up her phone and looks, too terrified to speak. One Punch TV's revenge has come, and Hobin, rushing through the rain to live stream with Rumi, sees her sitting alone in the rain with her head down, hurriedly asks what's wrong. Rumi looks at the boy in front of her with tears, asking what she should do. Hobin pauses for a second, quickly asking her to come inside. At this moment, Hobin still doesn't know what happened, until he sees One Punch TV falsely accusing Rumi of being a rich man's goddaughter, having an abortion, even selling privacy videos. Then he understands what happened. These words from a live streamer with 1.4 million followers immediately cause an uproar online. All kinds of strange comments poured in. After that, Rumi would be pointed at wherever she went. Some seniors even offered her money. Fortunately, there was a bad-looking boy who would step in each time, Man Gi Huang. Finally, under intense pressure, Rumi could only come forward to clarify. She didn't know how to explain things she never did. But even when she tearfully told the truth, no one believed her. Rumi then realized that fans don't want the truth. They just use her as after-dinner gossip. Watching Rumi cry, Gyeol Han, sleeping in a pile of garbage, shows a smug smile, and Wang Guk-han also receives a warning from Jun Song, telling him to back off before things get worse. Wang Guk-han had just agreed, when he sees Man Gi Huang in full battle gear coming straight for him. Man Ji-hwang became the wrestling king of H country at the age of 17, known for guaranteeing defeat to anyone he catches in battle. Although Man Ji-hwang has a villain's face, he's actually a good kid who loves studying and pretty girls. Scene change, Man Ji-hwang gets straight to the point, telling Wang Khan to upload an apology video immediately. Wang Khan looks indifferent, we'll see about that. The battle of two men protecting begins. Man Ji-hwang makes the first move, lunging at Wang Khan. But just as he's about to succeed, he's punched in the nose by Wang Khan. The man before him is a boxer unlike any Man Ji-hwang has ever met. Someone he simply cannot grab hold of. After punching Man Ji-hwang away, Wang Khan immediately tells him to get lost. But Man Ji-hwang, who hasn't achieved his goal, won't give up so easily. He lunges at Wang Khan again. Before he can get close, he's punched away again. Wang Khan uses the boxing jab, a technique that must hit the opponent. A fighting technique that even UFC champions can't avoid. The jab only targets one spot, the nose. The reason Man Ji-hwang can't touch Wang Khan is because their punching styles are completely different. Generally, people raise their hand behind their shoulder to punch with power. But for boxers, these movements are unnecessary. Wang Khan only needs to watch Man Ji-hwang's movements to easily avoid him. And so, the mighty Man Ji-hwang, for the first time, faces the sky. Feeling like the win was too easy, Wang Khan leaves with an apology. Man Ji-hwang also achieves his goal. And Gyeul, afraid Rumi might do something stupid, is guarding her like an old father, not leaving her side. Just thinking about the culprit behind this makes Gyeul angry. A battle between two women is also inevitable. Look forward to seeing Gyeul's other side. Meanwhile, Gyeul-han, streaming alone outside, doesn't know she's been targeted. She's pretending to express guilt to her fans about exposing Rumi, seeing the public opinion shifting in her favor. Gyeul-han immediately turns off the stream, happily swinging on a swing. Just then, Hoban suddenly appears, directly saying Gyeul-han's self-directed drama is disgusting to even look at. Seeing the girl still pretending, Hoban takes out Wang Khan's apology video and voice recording. That's the evidence Man Ji-hwang got with his nose broken. Although it smells bad, it doesn't affect a man's pursuit of love. Hoban angrily points at Gyeul-han, telling her to immediately start a live stream and apologize, only to be punched in the nose. Hoban is completely stunned. Gyeul-han doesn't give him time to react, instantly breaking through his defense, giving him a beating. The camera that accidentally drops is also crushed under Gyeul-han's foot. Yes, Gyeul-han is an in-fighter boxer. After beating Hoban dizzy, Gyeul-han comes to his side looking pitiful. She threatens Hoban that if he leaks the evidence, she'll immediately start a live stream saying she was bullied by a fighting live streamer. Hoban knows he can't fight a girl. If he makes a move, he'll end up like Hyoksu, not getting audience support. Gyeul-han is fully aware of this. Finally, after punching Hoban hard, their confrontation ends with Hoban's complete defeat, but his worst despair is yet to come. He waits outside Junsong's restaurant for who knows how long. Finally, Junsong arrives. But when he asks Junsong for help, hoping he would help Rumi, he learns from Junsong that One Punch TV is under his management. And he tells Hoban a cruel truth. Businessmen pursue profit, he can't possibly take down his own live streamer for Rumi who only has 200k followers. Furthermore, if Hoban exposes One Punch TV, he won't get the 100 million. Hearing about money, Hoban's expression changes. Perhaps he needs to apologize to Rumi. Scene change, Hoban and Snapper find Wang Khan, planning to expose him. Wang Khan watches Hoban preparing to expose him, gravely warning him, "You can't handle the consequences." Hoban doesn't care about this. He directly reveals the evidence he found about Gyeul-han's fraud, and also points out that Wang Khan spent 2 years in juvenile detention for assaulting his father. His boxing skills were learned there. With his true identity exposed, Wang Khan is no longer calm. He strides toward Hoban, ready to show him his true strength. Hoban announces the fight challenge against One Punch TV has begun. But the next second, he's crawling on the ground like a gorilla. Is this the secret to defeating a boxer? Meanwhile, Gyeul-han at home also sees the live stream. She immediately rushes to the scene. Unexpectedly, she's intercepted on the way, almost falling flat on her face. Gyeul-han turns around, only to see Gyeul arrogantly wrapping tape around her fingers. She immediately stands up, walking toward Gyeul. The war between two girls is imminent. Gyeul didn't tell anyone about confronting Gyeul-han. Her true identity is the creator of Somdak's teaching materials. Although she knows a lot about fighting, she doesn't have fighting talent, and has only learned some simple self-defense moves. The two girls immediately start pulling each other's hair, neither giving way. Feeling her hair is more precious, Gyeul-han first uses her head, ending the stalemate, then a quick move, throwing a punch hard at Gyeul, but Gyeul blocks it with the painless getting hit method. She quickly judges from Gyeul-han's power and movements that she's a boxer. Gyeul immediately reaches out, trying to close the distance, but Gyeul-han avoids using footwork. Realizing Gyeul isn't simple, Gyeul-han doesn't underestimate her, attacking again. Facing Gyeul-han's fists, Gyeul can only try her best to block, but Gyeul-han isn't stupid enough to only hit one spot. She takes advantage of Gyeul's defensive gap to attack her waist. Unexpectedly, her hand is jarred red. Gale had placed a metal plate at her waist. Gale presses her advantage, using the boxer countering move, the flying armbar. This move she learned from Moonsong Kim's master, Gracie Logan. If successfully executed, no man can withstand it. But women are different, because their joints and muscles are more flexible than men's. Slightly escaping, Gyeol-han bites Gael's thigh hard. The intense pain makes Gael release her grip. Freed, Gyeol-han's face shows a victor's smile. She doesn't believe Gael, with a damaged leg and one eye, can still beat her. Gyeol-han gives Gael no chance to breathe, attacking again. Gael tries to block with both hands. Unexpectedly, blood splatters instantly. The treacherous Gyeol-han had brass knuckles on her fingers. Gael doesn't fear, lunging straight at Gyeol-han, while dodging attacks, looking for opportunities. After taking 2 hits, she notices Gyeol-han always attacks with her right hand. Gael remembers. That punch on the metal plate temporarily disabled Gyeol-han's left hand. Finding the weakness, Gael grabs Gyeol-han's right hand, but she overlooks that. Gyeol-han's elbow can still be used. Gael gets hit hard in the back, falls to the ground. Gyeol-han seizes the opportunity, raises her brass-knuckled right hand, swings hard at Gael's face. Seeing this, Gael's lips curve slightly upward, kicking Gyeol-han in the chin. While Gyeol-han is dazed, Gael immediately uses a triangle choke. Even on the verge of passing out, Gyeol-han won't admit defeat. In the end, Gael wins. Next is the battle between Hobin and Wang Gukhan. Hobin practices 4-legged walking every day, just to become a strong beast, to defeat the man in front of him. This is the method learned from Samdak to defeat a boxer, using bear crawls to train the body's core muscles, to powerfully execute the grapple that all in-fighters cannot defend against. Wang Gukhan watches Hobin circling around, feeling confused, and that's exactly the effect Hobin wants. He seizes the opportunity and lunges, just when he thinks he can end the fight with one takedown. Wang Gukhan unexpectedly dodges sideways, countering with a punch to Hobin's face. Hobin can't understand how an in-fighter boxer who excels at pressure could avoid his grapple. He doesn't know that he was wrong from the beginning. Wang Gukhan is actually an outfighter boxer, although grappling works well against in-fighters. For outfighters with quick footwork who don't charge forward, an ordinary person's grapple is useless, and can even be countered with punches. Seeing Hobin being beaten back, Snapper asks Wang Gukhan why he would fight for someone like Gyeol-han, then learns that Gyeol-han is Wang Gukhan's sister, the one he would protect even at the cost of his life. After being beaten black and blue, Hobin finally realizes Wang Gukhan is an outfighter, knowing a normal grapple won't work. Hobin prepares to confront him head-on, but even though he learned jabs and straight punches from Tae Hoon Seong, against a professional boxer, it's still not enough. But who would have thought boxing was just a feint? Hobin's real purpose is to execute Samdak's combination technique. While Wang Gukhan focuses only on the punches, he seizes the moment and executes a professional single-leg takedown. But even successfully grabbing Wang Gukhan is completely useless, because he knows this move too well. During his 2 years in juvenile detention, his grappling was so weak, he was targeted hundreds of times. He already knows how to counter it. Seeing his trump card ineffective, Hobin recalls Samdak's words, "If your grapple is blocked, then you must take away something important from your opponent." And for an outfighter boxer like Wang Gukhan, the most important thing is his instep. Hobin directly uses a Muay Thai elbow strike, hitting Wang Gukhan's instep hard. Once the foot is disabled, all power sources are lost. Meanwhile, watching the live stream, Junsong praises Hobin for his fighting skills, while 244 beside him smiles slightly. He can't help but wonder why Junsong would leak evidence to Hobin to expose One Punch TV. Junseong's thinking is simple, survival of the fittest, and Wang Gukhan, to protect his sister, even with a crushed instep, still grits his teeth, continuously punching Hobin, trying to end the fight quickly. Hobin doesn't give him this chance, using a back kick to create distance, then pretends to throw a hook punch, which instantly transforms into a grapple. Unexpectedly, Wang Gukhan grabs his hair and throws him off violently, because Wang Gukhan knows that whatever move Hobin uses, he'll eventually resort to grappling, so he instinctively guards against this technique. Watching the livestream, Moonsong Kim is confused. Why would Hobin attempt to grapple knowing it would fail? That's when Coach Gracie Logan walks over and tells him, what if there's a move connected to the grapple? Sure enough, Hobin once again adopts the bear crawl stance, quickly lunging toward Wang Gukhan. Wang Gukhan immediately assumes a defensive posture, just when he focuses his attention downward, expecting Hobin to attempt another grapple. He's struck hard in the face by Hobin's knee. Seeing this blow didn't finish Wang Gukhan, Hobin grits his teeth and lunges at him again. Wang Gukhan tries to counter with a defensive punch, but is struck again by Hobin's knee attack, and Wang Gukhan is defeated. After defeating Wang Gukhan, Hobin and his friend massage his feet as usual until he regains consciousness. After waking up, Wang Gukhan thanks the two, leaving with the words, "Now I can finally give up," before departing. The scene shifts to the story of Wang Gukhan and Gyeol-han. The young boy wanted to kill his own father, because this crying man had driven his wife to death. The Wanggeokhan and Gyeolhan siblings had an alcoholic father, who would beat their mother when drunk. Under the constant abuse, Mijin became a walking corpse. Wanggeokhan had repeatedly urged his mother to escape, but Mijin couldn't bear to leave the siblings. In the end, she chose the most irresponsible solution. Gyeolhan didn't understand anything at the time, only noticing that her mother's neck looked very long. Wanggeokhan quickly covered his sister's eyes. At the funeral, Wanggeokhan wanted to kill the culprit who caused his mother's death. But seeing his father crying so sorrowfully, Wanggeokhan thought he had truly repented. He also didn't want Gyeolhan to lose her father right after losing her mother. But when Gyeolhan asked him with a swollen face, "Will I die like mom?" Wanggeokhan finally realized that people don't change easily. To let Gyeolhan survive, Wanggeokhan swung a hammer at his father. He was sentenced to 2 years for this, but he had no regrets, because Gyeolhan would never be unhappy because of family again. But would Gyeolhan really live happily? Wanggeokhan, who went to juvenile detention for attempted patricide, suffered inhumane treatment, but he needed to survive. Wanggeokhan joined the KUD juvenile boxing program, where training took precedence over humanity. Struggling to survive while continuing to learn, though his daily life was worse than a livestock's, the thought of Gyeolhan gave him the strength to persevere. Wanggeokhan eventually climbed to the top of the KUD program, but during those 2 years, Gyeolhan never once came to see him. Wanggeokhan felt betrayed. Soon it was time for his release, seeing others receiving tofu from their families, symbolizing a new beginning. While he had neither tofu nor even a cotton jacket in the cold winter, Wanggeokhan ate a handful of snow and rushed home angrily, immediately questioning Gyeolhan loudly, why she hadn't even visited him once in all that time. But when he saw the state of the house, he was shocked. Gyeolhan sat amidst piles of garbage, looking deathly pale. Wanggeokhan finally realized his mistake. He thought his place was the most unfortunate, not realizing that Gyeolhan, left alone as an elementary school student who didn't know how to survive, while he was fighting to survive in that place. Gyeolhan was slowly dying in this place, faced with his sister's breakdown asking why he left her alone. Wanggeokhan could only apologize through tears, and because Gyeolhan had been alone at home for so long, she became too lonely. She used garbage to replace family members, filling the house, developing hoarding disorder, unable to throw anything away. From that day forward, Wanggeokhan taught Gyeolhan how to survive by any means necessary. One could say the current Gyeolhan is his creation. Wanggeokhan knows that spreading rumors and smearing others is wrong, but he fears more that Gyeolhan might leave him. The pitiable often have detestable aspects. Meanwhile, Hobin, who successfully exposed One Punch TV, not only cleared Rumi's name, but also reached 500,000 followers. His momentum of walking changed completely, but One Punch TV suffered badly, with all videos taken down, though it wasn't Gyeolhan herself who removed them. Discovering the videos were taken down, Gyeolhan exploded in anger. She went to the riverside and started a live stream, planning to atone this way. But followers only wanted drama, commenting that she should go to hell, as everyone thought she was putting on an act. However, Rumi, Hobin, and the others watching the live stream didn't see it that way. And Wanggeokhan, as if his soul had left him, limped toward the riverside. In the end, they were a step too late. Was this really the end? Wanggeokhan collapsed, shouting his sister's name. He wanted to jump in to save Gyeolhan, but was held back by Hobin and his friend. Just when Wanggeokhan thought Gyeolhan had been swallowed by the river, she managed to swim toward the shore with a powerful survival instinct. Because Gyeolhan felt that after enduring such bitter days, to die just because her smear campaign was exposed seemed too wasteful. Hobin and the others were surprised to see Gyeolhan swimming to shore. Soon, Gyeolhan noticed them too. She sprang up, ready to teach Hobin a lesson for exposing her. But when she saw Gyul behind Hobin, she instantly became timid, and the siblings were destined to meet Hobin again. Afterward, Wanggeokhan found Junsong. He knew that followers encouraging Gyeolhan to jump was definitely related to Junsong. So Wanggeokhan came to warn Junsong to stay away from Gyeolhan. But Junsong dismissed him. The two had met in juvenile detention. Even in that place, Junsong was the absolute boss. Actually, Wanggeokhan only had gratitude toward Junsong, as he had given the newly released Wanggeokhan a way to live. But for Gyeolhan's sake, Wanggeokhan didn't hesitate to swing at Junsong, though Junsong easily dodged. He grabbed Wanggeokhan's collar in return, and slammed him hard to the ground. Bruised and battered, Wanggeokhan went to the route Hobin, Snapper, and Gyul would take home. At that moment, they were discussing whether to attend the platform's offline event. Suddenly, Hobin spotted Wanggeokhan in the corner. The three thought he had come for revenge, and immediately assumed the bear crawl fighting stance, ready for battle. Wanggeokhan didn't waste words, stating directly that he had come to them because of Junsong. He handed a USB drive to Hobin, telling the three about his history with Junsong in juvenile detention, how he treated Junsong like a brother, following his every word, even placing Junsong's status above his own faith, only to be abandoned. He told Hobin the USB contained enough evidence to expose Junsong, hoping he could make Junsong pay. But Hobin immediately refused, feeling that compared to Junsong, Wanggeokhan, who spread fake news, seemed more like the villain. Besides, He had no reason to make an enemy of Jun Song, who had 5 million followers, for Wang Gokhan's sake. With these words, Wang Gokhan was completely stunned. Time quickly moved to Platform's offline event. As soon as Hoban entered the venue, he was immediately surrounded by fans holding cash, stuffing it into his pockets, making him feel incredibly blessed. But compared to Jun Seong with his 5 million followers, he was just a small fry. Soon, the award ceremony began. Jun Song unsurprisingly won the popularity award. When the hostess asked about his hobbies, Jun Song surprisingly said he enjoyed watching Hoban's live streams. Hoban was instantly stunned. It was obvious that Jun Seong was paving the way for him. Invited on stage, Hoban shyly introduced himself, then asked the hostess for some time to present his theme. For Jun Song's sake, the hostess agreed. Jun Song also expressed anticipation for his performance. After building up the moment, Hoban pointed at Jun Song, exposing how he deceived fans with his righteous image. Jun Seong's face darkened, smiling sinisterly, asking what he was doing. Hoban didn't answer, continuing to expose how Jun Song abandoned and beat his subordinate live streamers, then produced the evidence Wang Gokhan had given him. So was Hoban exposing this because of Wang Gokhan? He did this not to seek justice for Wang Gokhan, but to increase his own followers and earnings. When Hoban finished listing all of Jun Seong's misdeeds, and was about to deliver the killing blow with more powerful evidence, Jun Seong suddenly started laughing. This sudden change confused the three. Jun Seong grabbed Hoban's shoulder. "So this is what you meant by your prank show to provoke me?" Seeing Jun Seong try to play dumb, Hoban quickly explained this wasn't a show. But Jun Seong reminded him to look at the audience below. Hoban hadn't anticipated that with just one sentence, Jun Seong could completely reverse the situation. He had even turned the tables on Hoban. Hoban finally realized he had severely underestimated Jun Seong's status among his fans. Seeing the situation under control, Snapper quickly reminded Hoban it was time to retreat. But before the three could leave the stage, they were stopped by the furious Jun Seong, taken to his restaurant. Jun Seong openly admitted that both Yeoksu and Wang Gokhan's situations were under his direction, then asked the three who had planned to expose him. The three were silent for a moment, all lowering their heads and quietly deflecting, saying they weren't the mastermind. After apologizing to Jun Seong, they prepared to leave, but were immediately stopped by Jun Seong. He told Hoban there were two types of people he would never forgive. First, those willing to stab him. Second, those who had already stabbed him. Having been stabbed hard, Jun Seong naturally wouldn't let Hoban go. He directly threatened Hoban, saying to leave, he must delete his channel. Seeing himself surrounded, Hoban quickly took out his phone to call the police, only to have it snatched away by the late-arriving Yeon Woo-ji. At this critical moment, Taehoon Song arrived just in time. Manji Huang followed closely behind. Rumi, live streaming, was naturally present too. Seeing this, Jun Song immediately asked Hoban to explain what was happening. Unexpectedly, Hoban had a sudden inspiration, telling Jun Song he had established a live streaming company. With these words, not only were Jun Song and the other three dumbfounded, even Taehoon Song and the others looked at him with darkened faces. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. Jun Song glanced at Rumi, who was live streaming, and didn't dare trouble them further. But the enmity between both sides was thoroughly established. Back home, everyone stared at Hoban with scrutinizing gazes. He hurriedly explained his creation of the company was because of something his mother said. He was afraid people would tire of fighting content, making his channel unprofitable, and he would be afflicted by poverty again, returning to his former days of having nothing. So Hoban was determined to earn enough money. He begged everyone to join him in building this enterprise. After hearing Hoban's speech, except for Taehoon Seong, everyone else chose to join. To recruit Taehoon Seong, who brought both looks and strength, Snapper gave Hoban a suggestion, then whispered in Taehoon Song's ear for a while, successfully winning him over. While Hoban's company was being established, Jun Seong also learned about this through a livestream, and as the new boss, Hoban naturally didn't forget to show off in front of Bomi. But before he could act cool for 3 seconds, Hoban learned from Bomi that Yeon Woo-ji, with 1.5 million followers, was actually from their school. This gave Hoban a strong sense of crisis. As soon as they parted, Hoban began thinking about how to make Yeon Woo-ji drop out voluntarily. Suddenly, a paper bag was placed over his head. Hoban had actually been kidnapped. Looking at Gracie Logan in front of him wearing flowery boxers, holding a whip, Hoban was completely stunned, just when he thought his kidneys were in danger. The man spoke fluent English, leaving Hoban confused again, as he couldn't understand at all. After ineffective communication for a while, Hoban finally thought of translation software, so he quickly reminded Gracie Logan. Through the phone, Gracie Logan expressed that he was Hoban's fan, then asked where Hoban learned his fighting skills. To keep Samdak's secret, Hoban lied that he was self-taught, but was immediately exposed by Gracie Logan. Hoban was completely embarrassed. Just as Gracie Logan was about to continue questioning, the phone died. Thus, Hoban escaped trouble. Afterward, he recognized Gracie Logan from his phone. But when he told Snapper he had been kidnapped by this person, Snapper didn't believe him at all. Hoban decided to do a handstand to calm down. Suddenly, his phone fell out of his bag. A message from Bomi surprised Hoban greatly, so he organized a beach trip using the company's recent establishment as an excuse. While everyone was happily taking photos, Bomi and Yun Woo-ji doing volunteer work nearby caught Snapper's attention as he wondered why the two were there. He suddenly recalled Hobin's reaction when seeing Bomi's message and realized Hobin had proposed this trip to monitor the two. Hobin, his thoughts exposed, wished he could find a hole to crawl into. Time quickly moved to the evening. Tae-hoon Song, seeing that no one was paying attention to him, secretly recorded a video introducing his channel. This was the reason he joined, to use live streaming to promote Taekwondo. But just a short self-introduction made his face flush with embarrassment. Suddenly, a mysterious laugh echoed. Tae-hoon Seong instantly became furious, rushing down the stairs to see who was so bold, just in time to see Yun Woo-ji coming out to throw garbage. Recalling the scene at Junsong's restaurant, Tae-hoon Seong thought Yun Woo-ji was laughing, and pinned him under his foot, demanding if it was him who laughed. Yun Woo-ji hesitated for a moment, then directly apologized. This confused even the true culprit who was watching. Gyo-han was here, because after being exposed by Hobin, she had no chance for revenge. Then suddenly learned they were coming here for vacation, so she followed, looking for a chance to expose Hobin. She laughed after hearing Tae-hoon Song's self-introduction. Tae-hoon Song wasn't unreasonable. He removed Yun Woo-ji's earphones, found the volume was extremely loud, and realized the laughter wasn't from him. But Yun Woo-ji's behavior of apologizing for something he didn't do with just one word from Tae-hoon Song made Tae-hoon Song very angry. So he took one of Yun Woo-ji's earphones. Seeing the two didn't fight, Jo-han slipped away. Meanwhile at the beach, Bomi, Rumi, and Gail sitting there, three beautiful girls, soon caught the attention of three thugs. While they were happily chatting, the three thugs came up smiling, asking how many people had come all together. Gail, who lacks a brain, immediately answered the question. The three thugs didn't hesitate and sat down. Rumi saw the three refusing to leave, even touching her inappropriately. She grabbed her unfinished cola and splashed it in the brown-haired thug's face. Bomi also shouted that the three were trying to harass them, forcing the three thugs to leave. Hobin and Snapper heard the commotion and rushed back immediately, while the blonde thugs who hadn't gone far seemed unwilling to give up. Time quickly moved to the late-night snack session. Just as Snapper was live streaming to capture this beautiful moment, the three thugs suddenly appeared behind Hobin, complaining that Snapper had filmed them, then forcefully took away Snapper's live streaming equipment. Not wanting trouble, Hobin smiled bitterly and said sorry. Unexpectedly, the blonde thug slapped his head repeatedly. Because Bomi was present, Hobin didn't want her to think he was as impulsive as a child, so he strongly suppressed his anger. Even when Bomi intervened to stop the blonde thug, Hobin still actively apologized, just when he thought patience was cool. Yun Woo-ji suddenly appeared protecting Bomi, sternly telling the three to apologize. Hobin instantly felt like a clown. All that talk about patience being cool was complete nonsense. Yun Woo-ji saw the three unmoved, and prepared to roll up his sleeves to teach them a lesson. That's when the blonde thug recognized Yun Woo-ji as a live streamer with 1.8 million followers. And because they were live streaming, he calmly said, sorry, then squeezed Yun Woo-ji's shoulder hard, telling him to watch out, before slinking away. But before they got far, the blonde thug's hand hurt. Because when he squeezed Yun Woo-ji earlier, it felt like squeezing a steel plate. The next day, after everyone played all day, Hobin rarely found a chance to be alone with his goddess. Just as he was about to quietly admire Bomi's beauty, Yun Woo-ji, the third wheel, suddenly appeared, even chatting happily with Bomi. Hobin was so angry he wanted to tear him to pieces. Suddenly a wave rushed in, wetting Yun Woo-ji's clothes, revealing his muscular physique. Hobin was shocked. A study streamer with such strong muscles, and Tae-hoon Seong, drinking nearby, also happened to notice this. Looking at his phone showing Yun Woo-ji live streaming reading books daily, comparing, he thought of a certain bastard he missed. Evening came, Yun Woo-ji was walking and talking to his father on the phone, when the three thugs suddenly appeared surrounding him. The blonde thug looked fierce, saying how could someone walk alone? Yun Woo-ji knew they were looking for trouble, so he found an excuse to hang up. Seeing Yun Woo-ji ignore him, the blonde thug threw a punch without another word. Snapper, eating ice cream nearby, saw this, and was about to go help, but was stopped by Hobin, because he discovered Yun Woo-ji had easily caught the punch. Watching Yun Woo-ji getting hit but not fighting back, Hobin thought of what Samdak mentioned, about training the body to its limit so even being hit wouldn't hurt. The blonde and brown-haired thugs attacked relentlessly, not only failing to hurt Yun Woo-ji but hurting themselves instead. Both couldn't help calling out Ah-jeong's name. While Ah-jeong was thinking, a hand suddenly pushed him aside. Tae-hoon Song appeared with a gloomy face. He recognized Yun Woo-ji's fighting style as Japanese Kyokushin karate, and Japanese karate and Korean taekwondo just happened to be at odds. What sparks would these two create? The blonde thug was very dissatisfied with Tae-hoon Seong's sudden interference, but as soon as he opened his mouth, a giant foot blocked it. Tae-hoon Song directly told them to get lost. Then Ah-jeong suddenly stepped forward, apologized, and pushed away the two angry companions. Watching Ah-jeong's back, Tae-hoon Song couldn't help sighing that lately, even cats and dogs know how to act thugs. With the three gone, Tae-hoon Song immediately told Hobin to buy some medicine for the injured Yun Woo-ji. These words confused Yun Woo-ji, who quickly explained he wasn't hurt, Tae-hoon Seong directly threw a back kick, but Yeon Woo-ji caught it without injury. Tae-hoon Seong didn't stop, continuing to attack Yeon Woo-ji, and telling him life should be like his, doing whatever you want, not living like a doll trapped in a narrow room, only able to live according to his father's wishes. Hearing the word doll, Yeon Woo-ji's face lost its calmness. He felt Tae-hoon Seong, who understood nothing, had no right to say these things. Yeon Woo-ji angrily threw a straight punch thrust, but he didn't hit Tae-hoon Seong. Departing, Yeon Woo-ji couldn't have imagined that Tae-hoon Seong had completely fixated on him. The two were destined for a fierce battle. Returning with medicine, Ho-bin searched around but couldn't find Tae-hoon Seong, so he asked Iol if she had seen him, but of course she hadn't either. Suddenly, Snapper received a strange private message, so he quickly called Ho-bin to look. After their surprise, they went to play happily in the water. Little did they know a pair of eyes was watching them. Unable to find a chance for revenge, Gyeol-han glared angrily at Ho-bin, but the three thugs suddenly appeared beside her, and Gyeol-han heard the secret plot of the three thugs. Looking at Rumi and Gayul walking in the distance, the three thugs made evil laughs. After planning, Ah-seong approached the two, asking to talk. In a small alley, both were surprised to hear him tell them to go home. Ah-seong quickly explained that his two friends were very bad and would definitely cause them trouble. Then he took out 2 drinks for them, as an apology for his friends. Just as they were about to drink, a pink Superman suddenly appeared, kicking away the drinks, anxiously telling the two, how could they drink something from strangers? As soon as the words were spoken, the another 2 thugs appeared behind. Gyeol-han, seeing this, prepared to deal with Ah-seong first. Unexpectedly, Ho-bin's voice suddenly came from behind, frightening Gyeol-han into jumping and hiding behind a garbage bin. Gayul and Rumi seemed to have expected this, smiling at Ho-bin's appearance. It turned out this was all a setup by the group. Ho-bin had learned through fan messages that the 3 thugs were a group of bad guys who would bully pretty girls, so he had Rumi and Gayul assist in capturing evidence of their crimes. Gyeol-han, hearing she had indirectly helped Ho-bin, gritted her teeth in anger. Ho-bin loudly told the 3 that he had called the police, telling them to surrender. In his excitement, he unconsciously walked between the 3. The blonde thug, seeing Ho-bin so arrogant, thought since they were going to jail anyway, he might as well cripple him first. Unexpectedly, Ho-bin struck first with a back kick, seeing the blonde thug kick to his knees. Ho-bin panicked a bit, wondering how they could be so weak. Snapper reminded him it wasn't that the opponents were weak, but that he had become stronger. Ho-bin then realized that his opponents along the way were all some abnormal level fighting masters. Realizing his strength, Ho-bin secretly rejoiced, then immediately put on an arrogant mask, bending to stare at the 3 thugs. Do you have a 501 coin? So Ho-bin arrogantly used a calf kick, wanting to break the blonde thug's leg, feeling the intense pain in his calf. The blonde thug finally understood. The man before him was the real boss of this group. He swung at Ho-bin again, but it was easily caught with the pain-free defense technique. Ho-bin countered with a calf kick, followed by a hook punch, easily defeating the blonde thug. Just as Snapper was cheering for Ho-bin, the brown-haired thug suddenly attacked, hitting Ho-bin's waist hard. But this attack for his tempered waist was almost negligible. Ho-bin grabbed the brown-haired thug, making him taste what a real knee strike was. Ho-bin wanted to add another punch, but surprisingly, the brown-haired thug had already passed out. Seeing Ho-bin so formidable, the 3 beauties nearly dropped their jaws. Ho-bin couldn't help but secretly rejoice, but before he could act cool for 3 seconds, a fist the size of a sandbag struck his face hard. Ah-seong had finally made his move. Though he seemed honest, he was actually the most deeply hidden, and the real leader of the 3. Rising, Ho-bin realized Ah-seong had studied combat. Combining his movements, Ho-bin judged Ah-seong was an infighter. The sequence of moves that defeated Wang Gokhan flashed through Ho-bin's mind. He first used the bear crawl to confuse his opponent, then attempted a single-leg takedown while the opponent was distracted. But to his surprise, it succeeded so easily. As Ho-bin was lost in thought, Gyeol-han quickly reminded him, not everyone is Wang Gokhan, then pushed Ho-bin aside, and thoroughly beat Ah-seong, quickly finishing the job. Amid everyone's shocked gazes, then she left gracefully. Ah-seong had just begun to rise to escape, when the late-arriving Man Ji-hwang casually picked him up. After the trip ended, Ho-bin had just arrived home, when his mother, who was almost recovered, told him Tae-hoon Seong had come to see his graduation album. And at that moment, Tae-hoon Seong was comparing photos of Ho-bin on his phone with another unruly boy, and that phrase, "Do you have a 501 coin?" came from this boy, Dawoon Lee. In the following days, Tae-hoon Seong taught everyone some taekwondo daily. After the torture session, Ho-bin immediately played the company boss role, teaching Tae-hoon Seong live-streaming techniques. But unexpectedly, just with his handsome face, Tae-hoon Seong gained 100,000 followers. This immediately triggered Ho-bin's competitive spirit, doing handstands on the side. But with the same move, Tae-hoon Seong completely outshone him. Ho-bin was so jealous. Tae-hoon Seong, feeling he had learned enough, threw his phone to Ho-bin, ordered everyone to clean up, then rode his bicycle to go save that boy. After cleaning, everyone met Tae-hoon Seong's father. Hearing they were his son's friends, Tae-hoon Seong's father was very happy. Suddenly, Tae-hoon Seong's father grabbed Ho-bin's shoulder, calling him Dawoon Lee. Hoban was confused, gave his own name, and asked who Dawoon Lee was. Taehoon Song's father realized his mistake and told the three. Dawoon Lee was someone who greatly changed Taehoon Song's personality, and was the reason Taehoon Song became who he is now. Hoban thought Taehoon Song had been corrupted by Dawoon Lee, but the truth was opposite. Because of Dawoon Lee's appearance, Taehoon Song became much kinder. How did a constantly bullied weakling make a school bully like Taehoon Song become kind? Just because his hair was brown. The boy was bullied every day by his classmates. He was even forced to kneel and serve as a human ashtray. And Taehoon Song was the leader of these bullies. But he was also a sadistic abuser who wouldn't even spare his own followers. Even after being beaten, you had to smile, give him a thumbs up, and praise him. Otherwise, you'd get beaten again. This was Taehoon Song back then, an arrogant psychopath. Suddenly he noticed Dawoon Lee kneeling on the ground. Though they were in the same class, Taehoon Song didn't recognize him. And seeing the cigarette butt in Dawoon Lee's hand, Taehoon Song walked over and slapped him, then dragged him away. This was their first encounter. Meanwhile, the three beaten followers were contemplating how to get revenge on Taehoon Song. But unexpectedly, Taehoon Song suddenly turned back, telling the three that if they didn't want to get beaten anymore, they should learn Taekwondo and become stronger. But what he didn't expect was that, after distributing over 300 flyers, only Dawoon Lee showed up at the dojang. Taehoon Song angrily grabbed Dawoon Lee's collar, demanding if he came to mock him. Dawoon Lee pulled out the dojang flyer and innocently asked, "Didn't you tell me to come? I thought you were asking for my help, Taehoon Song, that's why I came." Hearing Dawoon Lee call him by name, Taehoon Song realized they were classmates. Seeing his son being so impolite, Taehoon Song's father scolded him and told him that Dawoon Lee's father had called, planning to have Dawoon Lee learn Taekwondo here, and that he would personally pick him up after class. When Taehoon Song heard this, that Dawoon Lee couldn't even go to and from Taekwondo classes by himself, he immediately understood that Dawoon Lee was the kind of obedient son parents dream of, completely opposite to himself. After class, Taehoon Seong saw Dawoon Lee's father arrive in a luxury car to pick him up. He couldn't help but feel confused. Usually, kids from wealthy families don't get bullied. He quickly concluded that Dawoon Lee's completely submissive personality was the reason he got bullied. But Taehoon Seong thought, this has nothing to do with me. Playing video games sounds better, but on his way there, a gang of bikers suddenly appeared and struck at his feet with a club. This was the revenge of Taehoon Song's three followers. They had found the underage bike gang leader, wanting to buy Taehoon Song's legs. Unexpectedly, with one swing of the baseball bat, it wasn't Taehoon Song's feet that broke, but the stick in the underage bike gang member's hand. Seeing them trying to attack his legs, Taehoon Song's lips curled into a slight smile. He raised his 1.8-meter-long legs and smashed them down hard, instantly shattering the helmet's visor. Combined with a spinning kick, he easily dealt with these small fries, then walked toward the arcade with style. Upon receiving news of the failure, Zhongchan sighed. But this was completely within his expectations, because he had long heard of Taehoon Song's reputation, so Zhongchan had prepared a backup plan. That was the underage bike gang's second-in-command, Moon Seong Kim. Actually, Moon Seong Kim didn't want to do these things, but because he had been living at Zhongchan's house since childhood. Whenever Zhongchan didn't come home, his mother would ask Moon Seong Kim to find him. Zhongchan always threatened to kick him out if he didn't help with some bad deeds. With nowhere else to go, Moon Seong Kim had no choice but to agree. But he wasn't just sitting idle, he was working hard every day to become independent. As the training continued, the relationship between Taehoon Song and Dawoon Lee gradually improved. But tragedy was also slowly approaching. When Dawoon Lee returned home, he was locked in a narrow secret room by his father. He was required to complete 20 sets of test papers every day, and couldn't come out until he finished. Dawoon Lee looked at his phone, seeing Taehoon Song's message, asking him to clean the dojang, happily thinking he could go out early. But as soon as he stepped out of the room, his father told him he still had 20 questions left to finish, so he could only obediently go back. Taehoon Seong was very angry about Dawoon Lee being late. In his eyes, Dawoon Lee's father was like a madman who only made him study, and Dawoon Lee was just a mindless doll who kept getting bullied at school. After scolding Dawoon Lee, Taehoon Song walked to the punching bag and performed a 1080-degree spinning kick. Dawoon Lee watched with stars in his eyes, and it was precisely this move that indirectly led to the tragedy. Taehoon Song boastfully told Dawoon Lee that only 5 people in our country could do this move, and told Dawoon Lee to use this move to fight back when being bullied. But before Taehoon Song could explain that he hadn't fully mastered this move yet, Dawoon Lee had already rushed off because his tutoring time had arrived. This image of the obedient son really bothered Taehoon Song. The next day at school, because of his brown hair, Dawoon Lee was still being picked on. Just as he was about to get slapped, Taehoon Song appeared with his own brown hair, glaring fiercely at the 3 followers, scaring them so badly they almost wet themselves. Then he pulled Dawoon Lee out of the classroom, planning to give the boy a makeover. So, permed hair and pierced ears appeared on Daewon Lee. As soon as the two walked down the street, some flirtatious girls came up to chat. The four hit it off immediately and went to sing karaoke together, making Daewon Lee completely forget his father's assignments. Afterward, they took photos together to commemorate. That's how this cocky photo came to be. After taking the photo, they continued to play. Arriving at the arcade, Taehoon Song looked at Daewon Lee and asked if he had any 501 coins. Daewon Lee could only smile awkwardly, saying he only had a credit card. Seeing Taehoon Song reaching for his own wallet, Daewon Lee quickly promised that next time they played games, he would lend Taehoon Song 100 501 coins. Unexpectedly, Daewon Lee beat Taehoon Song the first time he played, angering Taehoon Song so much that he smashed the game machine. They went to the entrance to play the claw machine. Suddenly he leaned close to the girl's ear, asking how much she was paid to deliberately approach him, because a group of bikers had already surrounded Taehoon Song. The girl smiled and returned to her group. Zhongchan arrogantly looked at Taehoon Song, asking if he wanted to fight here or somewhere else. Taehoon Song smiled slightly. "If I go with you, can you leave the kid inside alone?" Seeing Zhongchan disagree, Taehoon Song could only choose to fight on the spot. Meanwhile, Moonsong Kim also stepped out from the crowd. Which one would prevail? To end the fight quickly, Taehoon Song made the first move, continuously kicking at Moonsong Kim, while the laughing Emperor Gracie Logan was secretly watching their battle. Taehoon Song, worthy of being hailed as a once-in-a-millennium taekwondo genius, beat Moonsong Kim to the point where he couldn't fight back. But every time he was knocked down, Moonsong Kim could stand up again, like a wild beast, fearless of any pain. This surprised Taehoon Song, facing Moonsong Kim charging at him again. Taehoon Song panicked momentarily, and was sent flying dozens of meters by a punch. But he wasn't helpless either, instantly retaliating with a flying kick. Yet even after being kicked countless times, Moonsong Kim could still stand up again with his amazing willpower. Looking at this seemingly undefeatable monster before him, Taehoon Song began to worry about Daewon Lee. To prevent the boy from getting hurt, Taehoon Song prepared to use his 1080-degree spinning kick. Though not yet perfected, it was the only way to end the fight quickly. But what Taehoon Song didn't expect was that not only did this move fail, but it also gave Moonsong Kim a chance to counterattack, tackling him to the ground. Seeing Moonsong Kim's punching bag-sized fist, Taehoon Song instantly felt doomed. But in the end, he still achieved victory. Taehoon Song limped toward the arcade, while the fallen Moonsong Kim was being eyed by a creepy man. Although Gracie Logan came to H country as a doctor to find comrades, he couldn't bear to give up such a good talent. Taehoon Song, who had been worried about Daewon Lee, had just pushed open the arcade door, when he saw a sight that left him dumbfounded. Daewon Lee, who had only seen the spinning kick once, had performed the kick that even Taehoon Song hadn't completely mastered. Without a doubt, Daewon Lee was a taekwondo genius. His talent even surpassed Taehoon Song's. Seeing his master appearing at the door, Daewon Lee immediately rushed over and hugged him. But Taehoon Song seemed like a completely different person, grimly telling Daewon Lee to let go, because Daewon Lee's overwhelming talent made him, the so-called genius, taste despair for the first time. Since that day, Daewon Lee was forbidden by his father to go to the dojang, and Taehoon Song never came to school again. Daewon Lee deeply regretted performing that kick. He vaguely understood that the kick had hurt Taehoon Song's dignity heart. Just as Daewon Lee was feeling sad, someone suddenly called out to him from behind. At this moment, Taehoon Song was also regretting his childish behavior. But for the sake of his pride, he was unwilling to contact Daewon Lee first, just as Taehoon Song was troubled. A classmate suddenly told him that Daewon Lee had been kidnapped by the underage bike gang, urging him to hurry over. Taehoon Song was shocked, grabbing the classmate and asking him to lead the way. But after just a few steps, Taehoon Song returned to the game machine because he thought Daewon Lee was so strong and didn't need his help. Suddenly, Daewon Lee's phone called. Taehoon Song thought it was a call for help, just as he was about to act cool. He heard Zhongchan's arrogant voice, telling him to come quickly, or Daewon Lee would suffer. Although Taehoon Song said it had nothing to do with him, he didn't stop walking. But the result was destined to be tragic. Zhongchan looked at the silent Daewon Lee and punched him without saying a word, arrogantly telling the boy to try kicking him again. Daewon Lee remembered Taehoon Song's disappointed look, and firmly told Zhongchan, "I will never do taekwondo again." Unexpectedly, he was suddenly hit hard on the back of his head with a bat. Looking at the fallen Daewon Lee, they hadn't yet realized the severity of the problem. Zhongchan even thought he was pretending to be unconscious, continuously slapping Daewon Lee's head. Suddenly, he felt something sticky on his hand. When he looked, he discovered it was crimson liquid. They were terrified and simply ran away. Meanwhile, Taehoon Song, who was rushing over, was still fantasizing about heroically saving Daewon Lee and being worshipped by him. But when he excitedly arrived, the scene before him left him stunned. Daewon Lee was lying in a pool of blood, barely alive. Tae-hoon Song didn't hesitate at all, immediately taking Daewon Lee to the hospital. But Tae-hoon Song hadn't expected that Daewon Lee would just pass away like that. He stared blankly at Daewon Lee's memorial photo, while the people who had beaten Daewon Lee to death wouldn't face any criminal charges. Because they were under 14, just as they were secretly rejoicing about being minors. A Taekwondo Dojang Van appeared. Tae-hoon Song approached them with a baseball bat, staring fiercely, "I'm also a minor." These idiots hadn't realized the seriousness of the situation, and actually surrounded Tae-hoon Song arrogantly. Tae-hoon Song remembered. Daewon Lee once said he would give him 100 to 501 coins. He looked at them maniacally. "Do you have any 501 coins?" This became Tae-hoon Seong's famous quote. He regretted being so mean and not treating Daewon Lee well. And he shouldn't have been angry with him back then, watching Tae-hoon Song continuously beating them. Jongchan was stunned, not knowing what to do. Tae-hoon Song kept venting his anger. But no matter what he did, Daewon Lee would never come back, seeing only himself left. Jongchan wanted to make one last desperate fight, but how could he be a match for Tae-hoon Seong? He was crying out in pain after just a few hits, seeing Tae-hoon Song fall into madness. Jongchan quickly knelt and begged for mercy, saying he shouldn't have bullied Daewon Lee. But Tae-hoon Song just laughed, because he believed he killed Daewon Lee. If he hadn't been harsh to him, Daewon Lee wouldn't have died. Tae-hoon Song laughed wickedly at Jongchan. "Do you have a 501 coin?" After asking, he raised the baseball bat in his hand. But even after beating everyone, Tae-hoon Song's self-hatred hadn't decreased at all. That doll who only knew how to listen to his father. He hadn't even had time to protect him before he left him. Now, he had met another similar doll, Yeonwoo-ji. Tae-hoon Seong knew he wasn't Daewon Lee, but he still wanted to intervene, perhaps to make up for the regret in his heart. Seeing Tae-hoon Song appear before him, Yeonwoo-ji was a bit surprised. Tae-hoon Song looked at him with a wicked smile, kicked away Yeonwoo-ji's classmate, calling him to duel. When Yeonwoo-ji was dumbfounded, Tae-hoon Song kicked away his other classmate, smiling and asking Yeonwoo-ji to duel with him. Seeing that Yeonwoo-ji still didn't get angry, Tae-hoon Song grabbed his collar. "Get angry, will you, Daewon Lee?" And the trio who had learned about the whole story also arrived at the scene, and started a live stream. Such an exciting live stream. Jun Song naturally wouldn't miss it, because if the two started fighting, the reputation of Hobin's company would plummet. After all, Tae-hoon Song was the one picking a fight. As he expected, looking at the fans' reactions, Gyeol wanted to stop Tae-hoon Seong but was blocked by Hobin. On Tae-hoon Seong's side, Yeonwoo-ji saw he wouldn't let up, and directly asked him, "Will you let me go if I take a beating?" Hearing this, Hobin couldn't sit still, because once Tae-hoon Song attacked, the company's reputation would definitely hit rock bottom. But Tae-hoon Song didn't care about any of that, directly kicking at Yeonwoo-ji. Looking at the distracted boy in front of him, Tae-hoon Song delivered a fierce knee strike, then asked Yeonwoo-ji, "Are you planning to go study? You doll who obeys your father." Hearing the word doll again, Yeonwoo-ji angrily shouted, "I studied because I want to." But instantly he realized something was wrong. He was actually angry. Satisfied with Yeonwoo-ji's attitude, Tae-hoon Seong gave him a kick, then approached Yeonwoo-ji. "Are you happy?" This question confused Yeonwoo-ji a bit, recalling that his father was a high-ranking civil servant, and he had his father's dream to become a doctor. Yeonwoo-ji smiled and answered Tae-hoon Song, "I'm very happy," but tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. But Tae-hoon Song knew that was a lie. He shouted, asking Yeonwoo-ji, "What do you want to do most?" This question immediately froze Yeonwoo-ji. He had forgotten his own dream. Just then, a memory flooded back. As a child, he happily practiced karate, but his father behind him was unhappy, so he could only study. Every day in that small space with only books for company. Only when his father wasn't around could he secretly practice karate. Yeonwoo-ji cried out his true feelings. "Rather than studying, I want to do karate." Tae-hoon Song immediately delivered a back kick, smiling at Yeonwoo-ji. "If you like it, then do it." These words completely awakened Yeonwoo-ji. He also wanted to be happy, and to live as he pleased. Yeonwoo-ji looked at Tae-hoon Song with tears streaming down his face. "Would you be so kind as to have a match with me?" These words struck Tae-hoon Song's heart. At the same time, public opinion in the livestream had shifted. Which was stronger, karate or taekwondo? Yeonwoo-ji made the first move, throwing a straight punch at Tae-hoon Song. Just throwing that one punch made Yeonwoo-ji feel incredibly happy. He punched even harder, beating Tae-hoon Song to the point where he couldn't fight back. Seeing this, Hobin thought Tae-hoon Song couldn't beat Yeonwoo-ji. Little did he know, the battle had just begun. Taekwondo, as each country's national martial art, is a sportified combat technique, while Kyokushin karate aims to defeat opponents without any compromise as a practical combat technique. The two have essential differences. Therefore, when fighting against Taekwondo, Kyokushin karate has obvious advantages. For Taekwondo to win, it must rely on excellent leg techniques. But even though Tae-hoon Song kept kicking him, Yeonwoo-ji held on with his extraordinary resilience. But Tae-hoon Song wasn't stupid. He directly attacked the weakness of Kyokushin karate, the face. Because no matter how tough the body is, the face can't be trained. Under Tae-hoon Seong's continuous attacks, Yeon Woo-ji finally fell to the ground. Was it over? Tae-hoon Seong stepped on Yeon Woo-ji's neck, looking down at him. Is this all you've got? Just as Hoban was about to announce the end of the live stream, Yeon Woo-ji actually stood up. This is the never-give-up spirit of Kyokushin. Seeing this, Tae-hoon Seong's lips curled into a slight smile. Yeon Woo-ji immediately attacked, a heavy punch hitting Tae-hoon Seong's face. But Tae-hoon Seong immediately disabled one of his hands, but was also hit by Yeon Woo-ji's other hand. The two continued to brawl like this. If hands didn't work, they used feet. If feet were useless, they used their heads, just wanting to knock the other down. This is Kyokushin karate. Seeing Tae-hoon Seong suddenly staggering, Hoban and the other two were stunned. Yeon Woo-ji slowly walked up to Tae-hoon Seong, gathering strength, preparing to deliver his strongest blow. Unexpectedly, he was forced back by Tae-hoon Seong's punch. Yes, a punch, Tae-hoon Seong's fist. He who once vowed to conquer the arena with his legs, eventually used boxing. But he hadn't abandoned Taekwondo. Because Taekwondo is divided into two categories, WTF Taekwondo that only uses legs, and practical-oriented Taekwondo that also uses fists. Having gained the advantage, Tae-hoon Seong flew into the air. With a stylish flying kick, hit Yeon Woo-ji hard. Looking at Yeon Woo-ji, who had passed out but was still standing, Tae-hoon Seong gently tapped his head, ending the fight. And as Yeon Woo-ji fainted, that prison that confined him was also shattered by Tae-hoon Seong. He was no longer that doll who only knew how to study. Yeon Woo-ji was taken to the dojang after fainting, and woke up while being massaged by Hoban and Tae-hoon Seong. He awkwardly asked why he was here. Tae-hoon Seong didn't answer this question, but fiercely told him to get lost. Yeon Woo-ji was startled for a moment, softly asking Tae-hoon Seong what he should do next. Tae-hoon Seong stared at Yeon Woo-ji. Didn't I teach you? Do what you want to do. And Yeon Woo-ji seemed to have made up his mind, thanking him before leaving. After returning home, he announced his intention to quit live streaming to his fans, then told his father he just wanted to study normally. His angry father slapped him across the face. But this didn't change Yeon Woo-ji's determination. He stared at his father. Please stop treating me like a doll, let me breathe like a human being. Jun Song still didn't know about these events. He was assuring the bigwigs that everything would be handled perfectly, just as he was about to present his progress. Yeon Woo-ji's father suddenly appeared. Jun Sang thought he came specifically for inspection, and quickly greeted him with a smile, because whether they could win this bid mainly depended on Mr. G's mood. Unexpectedly, Mr. G slapped him directly, followed by continuous slapping sounds, because Mr. G believed it was Jun Song who proposed monitoring Yeon Woo-ji through live streaming, which created a flaw in his nurturing plan, causing Yeon Woo-ji to give up studying. After venting, he turned and left, and told Jun Song that the bid was off. The gang leaders, seeing the business deal fall through, mocked him before preparing to leave. Jun Song, already furious, completely lost it, grabbing an ashtray, knocking everyone to the ground, vowing to make Hoban, who had blocked his financial path, pay a heavy price. On his way home, Mr. G had just called his subordinates to destroy evidence of dealings with Jun Seong, when suddenly a light shone on his face. Before he could turn around, he was struck on the head. Due to his status, he always took alleys without surveillance cameras, which gave Jong Chan the perfect opportunity. Meanwhile, Jun Song also welcomed an old friend, Paco, a live streamer who had been ruined by Hoban. How would the two take revenge on Hoban? Mr. G, being lucky, didn't die on the spot, but fell into a coma. Hoban and his friends came to the hospital to visit. When Tae-hoon Seong heard it was a motorcycle violent robbery, he couldn't help but recall that scene from before, and it was exactly as he had guessed. Furthermore, due to the uneven distribution of the loot, Jong Chan and the girl were fighting. After Hoban returned home and heard his mother had quit her job, he was very happy, thinking his mother could finally enjoy some rest. But his mother told him she had found a new job guaranteeing 3 million won monthly, and was about to go to work. Little did he know, this was all part of a certain man's scheme. After Jun Song calls Paco over, he first expresses sympathy for his misfortune, then asks if he wants revenge. Hearing he can get revenge, Paco immediately kowtows to Jun Song, and promises he won't disappoint him. Meanwhile, Hoban doesn't know he's being targeted yet. The group is cheerfully celebrating having their own dedicated studio. They come to the front door to hang the company sign, even placing Yeon Woo-ji and Tae-hoon Seong signs by the door as door guardians. Suddenly, Hoban's phone rings. He picks up to see it's Jun Song calling. Hoban timidly answers the phone. Jun Song doesn't waste words, telling him XJ Company hired a new live streamer, Paco TV. He suggests Hoban should check it out. Hoban looks at the phone Snapper hands him. His face contorts with rage, because he sees his own mother. Watching his mom live streaming, Hoban wants to kill Jun Seong with one strike. But he knows he can't do that. Jun Seong also tells him he hasn't revealed Hoban is doing fight streams. At this moment, Paco laughs while introducing fans. Jin Mi came to the studio as a special guest to earn her son's tuition. Paco doesn't want to miss this chance to get revenge on Hoban. He immediately issues a head-shaving task to keep this 3 million won job. Jinmi shaves her head in front of hundreds of thousands of viewers. Seeing his mother endure such humiliation, blood drips from Hoban's mouth. Jinmi puts on a hat after work, opening the door with a smile. Hoban has just finished cooking. He smiles, calling Mom to come eat, as if nothing happened, even after returning to the company. When Snapper suggests attacking Jun Song, Hoban remains expressionless, saying he won't attack. Everyone looks at him in shock. Hoban stands up explaining, because he didn't tell his mom about streaming. If they attack, the streaming will be exposed. If Mom finds out he earns money by getting beaten, she'll be more heartbroken than anyone. Hoban would rather get hurt than make his mom sad. Manji Huang then offers to take action, promising to handle it well. But Hoban still refuses. Everyone knows, though Hoban seems calm, he's actually suffering the most. Meanwhile, Paco, on his knees thanking Jun Song for giving him rebirth, presents tomorrow's program. In the video, he evilly smiles, making Jinmi choose. If an accident happened, would she want her only son burned to death or drowned? Jinmi naturally chooses neither, so she receives an upside-down punishment. After watching the program, even Jun Song can't help praising Paco's talent. Told him to go ahead, as Hoban would not cause trouble for him in order to conceal his identity. Hearing this, Paco grins wider, not knowing retribution is coming soon. Early the next morning, Snapper can't reach Hoban. Fearing an accident, hurries to Hoban's home. Jinmi tells Snapper Hoban went out for an appointment. Snapper realizes something's wrong, quickly finds Taehoon Song, tells him Hoban has disappeared. Seeing Taehoon Seong so calm, Snapper yells, reminding him Hoban might have gone to seek revenge on Paco. Taehoon Seong pulls Snapper's ear, tells him Hoban already came to him, had asked him to teach methods for beating someone to death. But Taehoon Song didn't teach him specific moves. Instead told Hoban, "You're already strong enough, beating Paco would be easy." At this moment, Paco hasn't realized danger is approaching. Thinking about today's program, swallowing eels alive. Suddenly, Hoban appears before him. Paco isn't fazed at all. Bluntly tells Hoban if he wants to attack, consider the consequences. But Hoban isn't thinking of attacking, purely wants to beat him to death. Paco doesn't realize the severity, still arrogantly provokes. Hoban backhands with a hook. Though Paco's face is deformed by the hit, he isn't knocked down by one punch. This immediately makes him arrogant, thinking when Hoban knocked him down before, it was just luck. Not knowing his nightmare is just beginning, Hoban steps forward, delivers a calf kick hard against Paco, cracking his leg bone. The pain's so intense, Paco can't even scream. But he still tries to act tough, even naively attempts to counterattack. Hoban instantly sends an uppercut, combined with a flying knee. Paco's skull directly cracks, even after such heavy blows. Paco still tries to touch Hoban, but meets even stronger attacks. This time Paco finally behaves, begging Hoban to stop hitting. Hoban coldly looks at him. "Let's play a game then. Choose between getting teeth knocked out or pulled out." Before Paco can choose, Hoban's fist lands on his face after countless punches. Paco raises his hand, telling Hoban to stop, or he'll really be beaten to death. Unexpectedly, Hoban takes up an eel. Afterwards, he sits on the stairs, waiting for Jinmi's arrival. Seeing Mom from afar, Hoban smiles and calls out, then goes to Mom's side, seriously tells her, "This streaming company has gone bankrupt." Saying this, prepares to take Jinmi away. Jinmi suddenly speaks, wants to call the boss. Hoban then learns Jun Song actually tricked his mom into signing a contract. He never thought Jun Song could go this far. Jun Song at this moment, looking at a contract with a smile. Seeing the boss so happy, Ju Hyuk-soo can't help asking Jun Song if something good happened. Jun Song doesn't hide, takes out the contract. Directly says he'll swallow Hoban's company in one bite. Speak of the devil, seeing Hoban appear before him. Jun Song smiles. "Why so bedraggled, Hoban?" Hoban glares furiously at Jun Song. "How could you touch my family, you bastard?" To Hoban's insults, Jun Song doesn't care. Instead, gleefully looks at him. "What do you think of our company's new recruit?" Hoban can't hold back anymore, angrily lunges at Jun Song. Suddenly, a figure darts out, directly tackles Hoban down, then locks his foot, telling him not to move, unless he wants to spend next life in a wheelchair. Hoban certainly won't submit like this. But just as he moves, joint twisting sounds echo. The intense pain from his foot makes Hoban scream. This is his first encounter with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The severe pain makes Hoban lose his fighting will, even loses any thoughts of fighting. Facing the approaching Jiu-Jitsu, Hoban's face breaks out in cold sweat. This is an instinctive fear. Jun Song, seeing Hoban has lost fighting will, takes the contract to him, tells him if he wants to tear up the contract there's only one way. Just doesn't know if Hoban is willing. But before Jun Song even states conditions, Hoban kneels on the ground, expressing he'll do anything to destroy the contract. But what he didn't expect was Jun Song's condition actually is for Hoban's company to transfer under XJ Company. Afterwards, Hoban is very painful. He hates his own weakness. Also doesn't know what to do. Hobin dejectedly arrives at company, tells Snapper and others about Junsong wanting to acquire the company. Snapper agrees to give the company to Junsong. After all, Auntie's matter is more important. But Gayul wants to try other methods. If transferred means they'll have to work at XJ Company, she doesn't want to work with big liar Junsong. Facing their different opinions, Hobin can only apologize. After thinking it through, decides not to stream anymore, then dissolve the company. This is the only way he can think of to protect everyone. While Hobin cries saying this, a motorcycle helmet suddenly hits his head. The one who struck was handsome Tae-hoon Seong. He stares at Hobin. If there's a way to turn things around, what would you do? Need you ask? Of course it's fight. After returning home, Hobin starts frantically searching Samdok's channel, looking for methods to defeat Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Hard work pays off, he finds it. And Tae-hoon Song's method to turn things around is Jongchan's girlfriend. Because Tae-hoon Song suspects, Junsong instructed Jongchan to beat Yeonwoo-ji's father. So he comes to the old place to find him. First beats him up, forces him to admit it. Seeing Jongchan refuse to confess, Tae-hoon Song gets his home address, then restrains Jongchan, not letting him go home. Next, Rumi finds Jongchan's long-abused girlfriend, with gentle hugs, gets her to reveal the mastermind and records it. Yeonwoo-ji is shocked hearing the recording. Hobin beside asks what he wants to do. Yeonwoo-ji without hesitation answers, must call police immediately, but gets stopped by his bedridden father. Because evidence of his dealings with Junsong hasn't been destroyed. Yeonwoo-ji angrily questions Dad. How can you still call yourself a high-ranking civil servant? At this moment, Hobin stands up, says he can go fight Junsong. Let Yeonwoo-ji leave this matter to him. Hobin comes alone to Junseong's restaurant. Junseong's group notices Hobin's arrival, immediately asks his purpose. Hobin instantly changes face. Enviously looks at Junseong. Boss Junsong bake, you can still eat. Yeonwoo-ji's dad can't even swallow porridge. Junsong naturally knows what Hobin means. Immediately warns him, don't speak without evidence. Hobin directly takes out recording. Arrogantly plays it for Junseong. Junsong gets furious after hearing, but quickly calms down, again threatens with Hobin's mother. Hobin is fearless, because he's now on equal footing with Junsong. Hobin loudly calls for Snapper, then slams the recording on the table. Junsong bake, let's make a bet. Hobin certainly won't challenge the boss immediately. Instead starts with his subordinates. He wants to steal all of Junsong's fans step by step. But Jongchan, who leaked info, suffers, ends up permanently disabled. But can Tae-hoon Song really defeat Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Remember, once caught, could be disabled by this fighting style. So, Hobin practices ballet 5 hours daily, endures pain-splitting legs thousands of times, just to defeat Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu users. Wash away the shame Junseong's group brought his mother. While Hobin trains hard, Snapper also brings data about lazily made channel. What surprises everyone is, Ju Ji-soo and Ju Hyuk-soo are actually brothers, and the big guy is younger. Snapper continues telling Hobin, this expose will be very difficult, because from the data, these two brothers like them are outsiders, bullied by school bullies daily. Finally, with Jo Hyuk-soo's suggestion, Ju Ji-soo learns Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just studying 2 years. He earns purple belt, calling him genius is an exaggeration. Purple is third belt from bottom, intermediate grade for adults. After learning, Ju Ji-soo teaches bullies. He becomes campus hero, admired by classmates, and video posted online, Ju Ji-soo becomes instantly famous. Meanwhile, Ju Hyuk-soo gains muscle, becomes big guy. Taking advantage of brothers' popularity, starts their streaming career. Hobin, shocked hearing this, thought XJ Company all bad people. When everyone thinks expose hopeless, Snapper tells them lazily made channel was attacked once and had reflective experience. That was Ju Ji-soo harassing his female coach. Though crime brought to public opinion stage, their channel still beloved, still popular, gaining 2 million fans, and the reason was that. Another criminal incident, shocking H-Country Dave incident. Dave for torturing tutoring student, sparked H-Country citizens' rage. When everyone just cursing Dave verbally, another criminal appears, by crippling Dave's legs, successfully gains citizens' forgiveness. A scum instantly becomes righteous knight, while the harmed girl Ju Ji-soo's female coach fights alone. Ju Ji-soo's whitewashing idea naturally from Junsong, and Junsong helps him. Purely curious how audiences will treat this matter. Time passes slowly in Hobin's training. Soon comes this war, betting not just contract and evidence, but channel management rights. Through various bloggers' promotion, fans all know about this. Not just 2 skinny guys fighting, but also 2 muscular men battling. Knowing Man Ji-hwang and Ju Hyuk-soo fight begins. Hobin and Snapper find Ju Ji-soo. What surprises Snapper is, Hobin actually fights with tied hands. Seeing Hobin like this, Ju Ji-soo shows contemptuous smile, not knowing this is all Hobin learned from Samdek. Method to avoid getting caught. Because against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, once caught you lose. And Hobin also learned from Samdek. the trick to defeat Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 3 seconds. Jiu-Jitsu, hearing Hobin wants to defeat him in 3 seconds after moving wrists, directly dives for Hobin's legs. Because he just needs to successfully grapple, can easily win. This plays right into Hobin's hands. He mentally counts 3, 2, 1. Then uses 3-second decisive move knee strike. Such meticulous plan, even Moonsong Kim, who was watching the live broadcast, can't help widening eyes. After Hobin uses knee strike, though Jiu-Jitsu dodges, but nose still injured. Hobin doesn't give him time to react, back kick hard on Jiu-Jitsu's nose. Following with heavy punch, beats Jiu-Jitsu helpless. Hobin keeps targeting nose, because nose is body's untrainable vital point. And when hit, body stops moving. Then combining with calf kick, this way attacks connect seamlessly. But even with Hobin's advantage, once caught, still finished. Therefore must always watch opponents grappling. After all this is fighting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Just when people think Hobin can win with combo, Moonsong Kim sees the problem at glance. Because Hobin fears getting caught, so can't use full power in strikes. Besides Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not just leg takedowns. Jiu-Jitsu in Hobin's surprised gaze. Uses Imanari roll, successfully catches Hobin. Instantly drops him on ground, but who knows, Hobin actually let himself get caught. Jiu-Jitsu uses Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's ankle lock, trying to break Hobin's ankle. Just when people think fight ending, Hobin actually endures. Because Samdak predicted getting caught in fight situation. So to deal with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's submission techniques, suggested practicing ballet, increase muscle flexibility, to withstand Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu submissions. But this can't win Hobin victory, ballet just temporary measure. And deliberately taking opponent's Imanari roll, the reason was to prepare for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People watching screen find incredible, because Hobin also uses ankle lock to compete who gets crippled first. But self-taught Jiu-Jitsu basics. How can he win against professional purple belt? But this is street fight. Hobin bites Jiu-Jitsu's toe. Intense pain from toe makes Jiu-Jitsu release Hobin. Hobin seizes that instant opportunity, raises right leg, uses Taekwondo's downward kick, hard kicks Jiu-Jitsu's nose, then prepares to end fight with hook. 244 sees this, judges game over. But loser is Hobin. Jiu-Jitsu also didn't expect Hobin actually comes to let him catch. Just as he reaches out, Hobin curls into ball. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, though, called strongest combat style. But ironically, if opponent crosses arms, head buried. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu helpless. Junsong thinks Hobin wasting time because Hobin can't attack either. But what he didn't expect, Jiu-Jitsu actually releases leg. Because Hobin using arm to press his thigh, seeing Hobin gain initiative. Snapper shouts, let him create distance. Even Moonsong Kim thinks should do this, but unexpectedly. Hobin instead moves closer to Jiu-Jitsu. Gracie Logan sees this slight smile because he knows Hobin about to win. Hobin head down, cracks Jiu-Jitsu's sternum. Jiu-Jitsu reflexively covers chest, but meets Hobin's elbow strike. After he releases hands, another head attack. Gracie seeing this excitedly sheds tears, because someone really watching that channel, and really learning things. Snapper just helps victorious Hobin up. A fist-sized punch flies over. Hobin directly sent flying dozens of meters away. Time returns to Jiu-Jitsu versus Manji Huang arm wrestling. One muscular bodybuilder, another fat wrestler. Which muscle man stronger? As Rumi announces start, Manji Huang pressed to ground. This muscle man arm wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu wins. Fans also guessed Jiu-Jitsu's identity, he's professional arm wrestler. After mocking Manji Huang, Jiu-Jitsu leaves. Back to Hobin's side, just defeated Jiu-Jitsu, no time to celebrate. Gets sent flying by suddenly appearing Jiu-Jitsu, looking at fainted brother. Jiu-Jitsu angrily roars at Hobin. Many wonder, can bodybuilders really fight? Of course they can, and very well. Just one punch almost makes Hobin lose consciousness. General fighters immerse in practicing strikes. Bodybuilders same, immerse in practicing muscles. If you think their muscles just look pretty, you're very wrong. You know, pulling through entire fight originates from muscles. Of course, bodybuilding isn't fighting, but they possess most important thing in fighting, weight class. Facing huge physique Jiu-Jitsu, Hobin's grappling basically useless. Jiu-Jitsu casually lifts him, prepares heavy slam, revenge for fallen brother, just as Hobin about to be crippled. Manji Huang suddenly appears, saves him from Jiu-Jitsu's hands, looking at nestling Hobin in arms. Manji Huang carefully puts him on ground, tells Hobin leave this to him. Seeing defeated person so arrogant, Jiu-Jitsu angrily tells him wake up. Then uppercut, makes Manji Huang blood spray. Manji Huang immediately reaches, try and catch Jiu-Jitsu, easily dodged. Jiu-Jitsu punches again, hard hits Manji Huang's kidney. Watching livestream 244, thinks this fight no suspense. Because wrestling though strong, same weight class, not getting caught. Then numerous techniques, useless. Facts as he predicted. Manji Huang directly crushed. But who could imagine Manji Huang has ultimate move? He put his feet in 11 shape and put his fist front of nose. Ju Hyuk-soo, seeing Man Ji-hwang pose confused, suddenly straight punch hard hits his nose. This change makes 244 widen eyes. A wrestler actually uses boxing jab. This specially learned from Wang Gokhan. Wang Gokhan, though, doesn't know why Man Ji-hwang learns jab, but still teaches seriously, and seriously tells Man Ji-hwang him learning jab is foul, because Man Ji-hwang's weight class wrestler, using boxing in fights, simply outrageous. Look how miserable Ju Hyuk-soo beaten, facing Man Ji-hwang's jab. He can't even resist. Finally falls with his brother. After winning, Hoban excitedly hangs on Man Ji-hwang. Account successfully gains 700,000 fans. Afterwards, Hoban, regarding lazily made channel handling, announces his decision: delete account. He doesn't want hurt people, because channel existence suffering again, while everyone looks at Hoban differently. He goes to bathroom biting paper in pain, regretting showing off because he lost billions of tickets. And Junsong sighed. Companions successively attack 244, can't help sighing. Next one, my turn. If attacked, what to do? Junsong, hearing this, mouth corners slightly raise. Think it's not possible, 244, you're not individual. Hearing such sensitive words, 244 instantly darkens. Junseong, when becomes so talkative. Facing subordinates questioning, Junsong actually chooses tolerance. And Junsong just leaves. Ju Ji-soo and Ju Hyuk-soo brothers come looking at approaching brothers. 244 slightly smiles, tells them Junseong not here. Unexpectedly, Ju Ji-soo says not here for Junsong, but for him. This makes 244 eyes sharpen. Ju Ji-soo states purpose, hoping 244 invites him do what Junsong eager to do, because they also want make big money. 244 gently touches Ju Ji-soo's head. How can I invite criminals do things? Hearing this, Ju Ji-soo angrily stares at 244. Don't think I don't know, streaming not your main business, those shady dealings are. Compared to us brothers, you don't know how much dirtier. Seeing 2 knows so much, 244 calmly finishes drink. Glass instantly smashes Ju Ji-soo's head. Surprisedly looks at him, knowing too much people don't live long. Ju Hyuk-soo wants sneak attack, but gets headbutted in nose. 244 backhand slams him hard on ground. Ju Ji-soo, seeing this, rushes using grappling, but he didn't expect. His attack easily resolved. Then gets dragged to bar counter. Hard pressed on counter. Huge strength, Ju Ji-soo can't move at all. Then glass cups fall on his head. After doing everything, 244 looks at restaurant camera. Reminds Junsong, remember clean up trash. Meanwhile, Rumi also receives model invitation. Next morning, she beautifully goes shooting. Rumi didn't expect, during break time, she actually meets Wang Gokhan working here. Through conversation, she learns after that incident, Wang Gokhan stopped streaming and works at this studio. But Wang Gokhan, being rookie, doesn't even get chance shoot models. Break time quickly ends. Wang Gokhan again apologizes to Rumi for framing. Rumi smilingly pats Wang Gokhan's butt, says let past be past. Also tells Wang Gokhan bring Gyulhan, have dinner together sometime. This sweet smile makes Wang Gokhan feel love. Seeing photographer approaching, Rumi gives Wang Gokhan a selfie as encouragement, because Wang Gokhan mentioned he hasn't had chance properly shoot models, just as shooting about to start. A handsome man walks in carrying coffee. He's studio owner. First time seeing new face. Man bit surprised. Photographer quickly introduces. Wang Gokhan, being new, always running errands, so he hasn't seen. While Rumi is part-time model. Owner smilingly hands Rumi coffee, shows welcome. Seeing super popular seasonal product, Rumi immediately happily thanks man, while Wang Gokhan only hides his bought drinks behind. After returning, Rumi and Gail start heated discussion. Because owner gave Rumi business card, invites her jogging sometime. Gail thinks definitely fishy, while Rumi thinks just because they chat well. At this moment, Hoban and Snapper walk over. Rumi looks at him. Heartless, Hoban just says, you can try getting together. A fruit plate flies at his face. Will Rumi contact that man? Can you guess who he is? A face-tattooed thug. And handsome rich hottie. Actually same person. And his face tattoos. All drawn by himself. 244 disguises for dark industry behind scenes. Dong-suk, seeing boss arrive, immediately puts on clothes. Hands 244 recent work. 244 ignores, instead asks Dong-suk, found next drama female lead. Dong-suk immediately reports, already selecting. Unexpectedly, 244 tells him use Rumi. Dong-suk, stunned, thinks minor too dangerous. But in 244's eyes, people and his animals no different. At this moment, Rumi, still unaware crisis approaching, even goes coffee with owner. Coincidentally, they meet Hoban and Bomi. Rumi's heart instantly mixed feelings. Heartless Hoban naturally doesn't notice this detail. Instead, curiously asks 244, can being owner make money lying down? 244 smilingly tells Hoban, besides being studio owner, has various other work. Then asks Hoban, want to try? Hearing can make money, Hoban immediately nods. After brief exchange, 244 stands reminding Rumi, shooting time approaching. Watching 2 leave, Hoban can't help sighing. really perfect match. Next morning, 244 jogs as usual. Subordinate reports by phone. Rumi's shooting time set. Suddenly, Wang Gokhan appears before him. Seeing Wang Gokhan doesn't recognize himself, 244 invites him jog together. But jogging, Wang Gokhan suddenly tells 244. Once entered juvie protecting important things. But he doesn't regret, future days will also fight for protection. Wang Gokhan stares at studio owner. If dare touch Lee Rumi, I'll make you die horribly, 244. Wang Gokhan recognizes him, purely because running breathing sound. And 244's unique shaped ears. Wang Gokhan then asks him, what is your purpose? Your tattoo and live streamer identity are fake. Even relationship with Jun Song is not ordinary superior subordinate. Seeing Wang Gokhan knows so much, 244 stops pretending. Gently touches Wang Gokhan's clothes. You're young, knowing too much not good. Wang Gokhan grabs 244's wrist. What if I know more? Like your businesses, also where I work studio. Wang Gokhan directly says none his business but 1 point can't touch Rumi. 244 reverses hand pressing Wang Gokhan knee to ground. Huge strength, Wang Gokhan can't move at all. 244 bows looking at him. Don't you find it funny? Previously you wanted ruin her life. Now want protect her. Then warns Wang Gokhan give up this feeling. Also listen well to studio friend's words. Because those brothers also just came from prison. After returning home, Wang Gokhan looks at Rumi's photo dazes. Gyeol suddenly appears, asks what doing. When Gyeol sees camera photo clearly, excitedly points at brother, imagines he wants to expose Rumi again to revenge. Gyeol instantly thinks, this plan is so cool. Then lies on Wang Gokhan's lap, starts gaming. Seeing brother still troubled, Gyeol suddenly speaks, give up. We're perpetrators, she's victim. Our existence to her is a wound. Time quickly comes shooting day. Dongseok, looking at hardworking Wang Gokhan, calls him from afar. While Wang Gokhan comes to his side, Dongseok tells Wang Gokhan. The reason why he was hired is that people who have been in prison and released are very good at reading people's faces, and are very gentle. Seeing Wang Gokhan like seeing past self, inexplicable closeness. Then asks Wang Gokhan whether he wants to make big money. 10 million per case kind. For sister, Wang Gokhan naturally agrees. He just asks what work. Rumi walks over. Dongseok tells her go dressing room first. Then takes out clothes, tells Wang Gokhan deliver to Rumi. Looking at such revealing clothes, Wang Gokhan stands frozen. Through Dongseok's words, he knows that big money project. Dongseok warns Wang Gokhan, if dare talk about this, won't know how you die. Wang Gokhan somberly goes to dressing room, forces stuff to Rumi. Seeing Wang Gokhan comes out in seconds. Several people evilly look at him, thinking Wang Gokhan forcefully dressed Rumi. Actually, Wang Gokhan gave Rumi his phone. Tells her wear earphones, listen favorite song 10 times. Dongseok stares angrily at Wang Gokhan, asking what he wants. Wang Gokhan's lips curve slightly upward. I didn't want to forget her, and I didn't want to like her either, but her smile was just too beautiful. I won't allow her to be hurt in any way. Dongseok laughs wildly. Do you know who I am? Wang Gokhan doesn't waste words, yanks off his work ID badge. 1 punch per person, beating the group without giving them a chance to fight back, soon knocking down many of them. Seeing Wang Gokhan's fighting skill, Dongseok stops his men from continuing and asks if he was in the CUD juvenile boxing program. Wang Gokhan doesn't answer, instead angrily charges towards several people, but gets punched in the kidney by Dongseok. He smirks at Wang Gokhan. Nice to meet you, Junior. The intense pain makes Wang Gokhan remember what his coach once said. When he received his first trophy for the training center, the coach told him all the other trophies were won by one person. That was Dongseok Oh, known as the boxing prodigy. After dodging a series of Wang Gokhan's attacks, Dongseok flashes in front of him, gives him a playful look, then lands a heavy punch to his stomach. Feeling his organs churning, Wang Gokhan realizes Dongseok is a slugger boxer, unlike typical slow-moving sluggers. Dongseok not only has natural punching power, but also the speed comparable to an outboxer. After knocking Wang Gokhan down with 1 punch, Dongseok coolly combs his hair, but before he could look cool for 3 seconds, he was struck hard on his foot by an elbow strike. This was the signature move Hobin once used to defeat him. Dongseok winces in pain, clutching his foot. Wang Gokhan stands up again. Just as the two prepare for another round, a man approaches. 244 smirks at Wang Gokhan, lamenting how people are so unappreciative lately. Rumi, who obediently listened to the song, has a smile on her face. But when she opens the door to tell Wang Gokhan, the outside is completely empty, no one is there. Meanwhile, Hobin, on a date with Bomi, has no idea what's happening. After finishing their meal, they decide to have some dessert, but when they enter the private room, hearing inappropriate sounds from next door, both feel immediately awkward. Hobin suddenly stands up, loudly suggesting they go see a movie. Unexpectedly, his foot slips, and he accidentally falls on Bomi. Just as things are progressing naturally, Hobin's phone suddenly rings. After taking the call, Hobin is shocked. Many people wonder why Bomi likes Hobin. It all goes back to her childhood. Bomi matured too early, making her feel that all children her age were just kids. She especially wanted others to treat her like an adult. This worried her hospital director father, and during one of their conversations, Dr. Choi accidentally muttered, "Dad wishes you were like other children." This instantly ignited Bomi's temper. Realizing he made a mistake, Dr. Choi quickly apologized with a smile, but Bomi still shouted that she should really move out and live independently, away from her father. At that moment, a boy picking his nose interrupted their conversation. Hoban pressed his nose-picking finger against Bomi's forehead. Feeling something strange on her forehead, Bomi asked what it was. Hoban calmly replied, "My booger." He ignored Bomi's rage, believing she shouldn't treat Dr. Choi, who cares for her, that way. Looking at his next food delivery location, he mumbled that he was too kind not to feed it to Bomi directly. Just then, big sister Salman walked over, remarking it was her first time seeing Hoban like that. She told Bomi that Hoban's mother was often hospitalized due to poor health, and Hoban would stay with her. And apparently, all the hospital expenses were paid by Hoban alone. After hearing this, Bomi thought Hoban had poor character and secretly vowed to make him apologize. So she began secretly following Hoban. But she discovered that every weekend, Hoban worked from morning till night, doing all kinds of dirty and exhausting jobs. Though they were the same age, he was working 12 jobs. Through her persistent efforts, she finally caught Hoban nearly dehydrating in a mascot costume on a hot day. Bomi approached him, seriously demanding an apology. Hoban recognized Bomi. He looked away. "You'll regret it. Those memories of arguing over small things stay with you. Being picky with food, getting angry at your father, being stubborn because of pride, and so on. That's why you should treat your parents well while they're still around." After being lectured, Bomi couldn't help but mock Hoban for acting mature despite being her age. Hearing this, Hoban asked Bomi, "Do I seem mature? Do I look like an adult? I don't want to be an adult at all. But many things don't develop according to our wishes. Being an adult is really hard and painful. If possible, I hope nobody in the world has to be mature." Bomi, having been lectured, by chance, saw Hoban smiling while caring for elderly patients at the hospital. At that moment, Salman came over to tell her that whenever Hoban came to get medicine for his mother, he would take time to care for the elderly like that. After all these events, Bomi decided to make Hoban, who could smile through hardship, her ideal boyfriend and first love. But not long after, Hoban's mother's condition improved and she went home to recover. 3 years passed, and what had become her first love had turned into just a memory for Bomi. But on her way to school one day, she saw that smiling boy again. Although Bomi recognized Hoban, he didn't recognize her, until this private room incident. Hoban finally realized Bomi was that girl from before. Scene change. Gil-han runs in the pouring rain to her former enemy's door, not caring that her feet are bleeding. Seeing Rumi open the door, Gil-han looks at her in despair. "Sister Rumi, my brother Wanguk-han hasn't come home." With no leads, Rumi can only call Hoban and others. After hearing the whole story, considering Wanguk-han's importance to Gil-han, everyone immediately gathers to discuss. Rumi tells Hoban she was the last to see Wanguk-han, but when she called the photo studio, they said they hadn't seen Wanguk-han. Eventually, Hoban decides to report a missing person. Little do they know, Wanguk-han is being held in a soon-to-be scrapped shipping container by this elegant man. Well-fed 244 squats in front of Wanguk-han, telling him it only costs 5 million to kill someone, and no one can catch them, because these killers come from abroad, as illegal immigrants without even fingerprints on record, and he's in this line of work. Give him money, and he'll take care of everything. He originally thought saying this would frighten Wanguk-han. Unexpectedly, he's called a bastard instead. 244 sighs, then walks outside the container. With a loud bang, the container behind him is immediately crushed flat like a meat patty. Meanwhile, Hoban going to the police station to report the missing person. Cannot file a case because less than 24 hours have passed. After hearing the officer's explanation, Gil-han says something angrily. The group leaves the police station, looking at Gil-han, who seems like a walking corpse. Rumi quickly comforts her, saying Wanguk-han will be fine. Hoban also reminds her to stay calm. Unexpectedly, he receives an international friendly gesture in return. Suddenly, Rumi thinks of someone. The group goes to a coffee shop to wait. They actually ask 244 for help, since they had already explained everything on the phone. 244 sits down and immediately tells them he has a lead. Upon hearing this, everyone stares at him intently. Hoban is so excited he almost jumps up, urging 244 to speak. 244 smiles slightly. "Actually, Han Wanguk-han was eliminated by me." Everyone looks at him in shock. Hoban stammers, "If that's the case, then who is that behind you?" Gil-han stares at the doorway in disbelief, then bursts into tears and rushes toward her brother, throwing herself into his arms, crying her heart out. After comforting Gil-han a bit, Wanguk-han stares hard at 244. 244 was originally planning to kill Wanguk-han, but a second before leaving the container, Wanguk-han suddenly smiled at him. "No matter how clean your work is, you'll be exposed by Hoban." Upon hearing Hoban's name, 244 immediately began to hesitate. Finally, he untied the ropes binding Wanguk-han and thanked him with a smile for saving himself. Hearing him talking nonsense, Wanguk-han raised his fist, wanting another fight. but his fist couldn't land on 244, because Wang Gukhan heard his sister's name. 244 smirks playfully, "You're alive because of Hobin. When you go back, remember to put in a good word for me with Hobin." Then darkly warns Wang Gukhan that if he dares meddle again, he will definitely receive a girl's corpse. Wang Gukhan knows that 244 is not only dangerous, but also a madman who treats human lives as jokes and must avoid any connection with him. Seeing her brother about to leave just like that, Yohan quickly reminds him he should thank them before going, because Hobin and others helped a lot, especially Rumi. At this moment, Rumi also stands up, smiling and telling them to eat something before leaving. Recalling those people's treachery, Wang Gukhan leans toward Rumi's ear, about to tell her the studio owner's true identity. Unexpectedly, something unexpected happens. 244 actively reveals his identity to Hobin. Wang Gukhan, who was preparing to expose 244, is stunned. With such explosive news, Hobin immediately presses pause, then starts discussing with his friends. None of them know what to do next, because to get the contract back, they must attack 244. But they know nothing about him, nor why he would publicly reveal his identity. Wang Gukhan is most confused, having personally experienced 244's terror. After discussing for a long time without result, Hobin decides to ask 244 himself. He sits down in front of 244, cautiously asking what he wants. 244 smiles. "Of course I want something, and I have something for you." Hobin takes the document and looks at it in disbelief. It's actually his mother's contract. And Jun Song, who discovered the contract was stolen, immediately guessed it was 244's doing, watching Hobin repeatedly checking the contract. 244 reminds him, this is the original contract. Hobin, unable to figure out 244's true motive, asks why he gave him the contract. Is Jun Song seeking reconciliation? 244 doesn't answer, instead asking, "Don't you need this?" This makes Hobin suspect that giving him the contract is Jun Song's trap since they're working together. Or another possibility is that 244 betrayed Jun Song. Ignoring Hobin's contemplation, 244 pats his head, telling him to keep it without worry, he just doesn't want to fight with him, then starts to leave. Hobin immediately stops him, planning to test the waters first. He loudly asks if Jun Song knows about this. 244's lips curve slightly upward. Jun Seong? Probably not. After returning to the company, Hobin and his team discussed for a long time without conclusion. But they finally determined one thing. That was, they could return to peaceful days. In the time that followed, Hobin continued to expose school bullies who harmed classmates. Those people were no match for him, easily dealt with in a couple of moves. Suddenly, Snapper looked at his phone and shouted. Hobin quickly gathered around. What they saw shocked them. 244 had gave them a live broadcast reward of 5 million. Snapper quickly reminded him this wasn't right. Unexpectedly, Hobin started dancing to express gratitude. Next, they received a mysterious package, while everyone was guessing if it contained a bomb. Gaeul had already opened it first, only to discover. The box was full of gifts, one for each person, all worth over 1 million. Even Taehoon Song was considered, and the gifts hit the spot for everyone. Rumi opened the card and looked. Yes, the gift giver was 244. Money and gifts, Hobin knew these things couldn't just be accepted, so they immediately opened 244's channel and frantically subscribed. Meanwhile, 244 was wondering if Hobin and his team liked his gifts. After all, they might soon be eating from the same pot. Suddenly, his phone rings. Seeing it's Jun Song calling, 244 isn't surprised, because he's been waiting for this call for a long time. He answers without hesitation, and after a brief exchange, 244 goes to the bathroom. Soon after, Jun Seong also walks in, hearing movement behind him. 244 turns with a smile. I thought when the contract disappeared you would come to me first, Jun Seong. Have you been thinking on your own? Jun Song doesn't answer, instead demanding why 244 handed over the contract. 244 turns back to play with the water. Without the contract, you're anxious, aren't you? Jun Song gently locks the door, presses 244 into the sink. No matter how I think about it, I can't understand why you did this. Can you tell me why you gave the contract to Hobin? Will they have a big fight? At this moment, 244 sighs that this scene reminds him of the past. Jun Song looks grim, stating he wants to settle the score once and for all. Just as they grab each other's collars, a sudden voice from outside makes Jun Song startle. 244 quickly opens the door. When Jun Song sees who it is, he's too shocked to speak. The mysterious person is a congressman of H country, Taesun Ju. He explains to Jun Seong that he ordered 244 to give the contract to Hobin. Jun Seong asks in surprise why he did this. Unexpectedly, the congressman asks him how long he plans to be a streamer. Jun Song doesn't understand what he means. The congressman smiles. You should enter politics. Jun Song looks incredulous, because entering politics is his dream. These words seem too dreamlike for someone with a Yakuza background. The congressman looks at Jun Song standing there dumbfounded, reproaching 244 for not telling him in advance. 244 quickly apologizes to Jun Song, explaining that when they first met, He heard Jun-song say he was obsessed with making money to gain power. Now his dream is coming true. Jun-song excitedly bows in gratitude. Little does he know this is all a conspiracy. Jun-song then expresses his confusion. If he enters politics, what should he do about his current business? The congressman explains that XJ Company is helping 244's dark web, laundering money and moving it to legitimate places, and these activities cannot continue after entering politics. After all, a future congressman's past must be spotless. The congressman tells Jun-song he has found his successor, but when he hears it's Hoban, Jun-song is stunned. Then 244 explains that he returned the contract because he didn't want them to keep fighting. He asks Jun-song to set aside his hatred, as more important matters are at hand. Jun-song smiles slightly. I don't have any hatred toward Hoban anymore. He leaves the estate satisfied, while the two inside continue their discussion. At this moment, Hoban, still unaware he will soon rise to prominence, is troubled by a major issue. So he shouts, asking if anyone can accompany him downtown. But after asking everyone, no one has time on the weekend. Just then Gayul walks in, giving Hoban hope. Hearing it's just the two of them going downtown. After returning home, Gayul is extremely happy. She pounds her doll in excitement. Gayul's father thinks his daughter is about to wreck the house and immediately comes in to scold her to stop. Gayul can only mumble dejectedly that her father doesn't understand anything. Then she begins preparing meticulously. The weekend arrives quickly, and shortly after Hoban arrives, Gayul comes to him, asking what they're doing today. Such a youthful, pretty, and cute Gayul. Do you like her? With this question, Hoban realizes he forgot to tell Gayul what they were doing. So he quickly apologizes, then tells Gayul he wants her help choosing a gift for Bomi. Gayul is stunned, but Hoban continues talking, saying after giving the gift, he'll confess his feelings. Gayul realizes she's the clown, and my poor Gayul's mood immediately drops. Hoban naturally doesn't notice this detail. As they walk, Gayul suddenly stops Hoban, wanting to know his confession plan. To Gayul's surprise, Hoban plans to fill Bomi's house with candles, and then confess. Hearing such a cliché method, Gayul excitedly tells Hoban the best confession should be simple and clear. If too complicated, even existing goodwill would be lost. Hearing this, Hoban instantly feels Gayul is a romance expert, ready to entrust the entire confession to Gayul. At this moment, Gayul has a flash of inspiration. As soon as she enters the clothing store, she asks the clerk to show her clothes least suitable for girls with good figures, and something that would make the recipient immediately upset. The clerk immediately shows her a set, a cute yellow duck pajama. Gayul takes one look and is completely satisfied. Just as she's happily about to pay, she suddenly sees Hoban seriously selecting gifts in the distance. Gayul instantly feels this isn't right. Recalling the happy times spent with Bomi, Gayul apologizes to the clerk and prepares to choose a gift again. They soon finish buying gifts, just as Hoban happily thanks Gayul. He notices something's wrong with her face. Gayul explains it's because of too much cold wind. Unexpectedly, she starts floating right after saying this. Hoban quickly steadies her. Gayul suddenly wakes up, but before she can say thank you, Hoban apologizes. Then takes out shoes he prepared for Gayul, noticing she usually wears sneakers, but today wore dress shoes and couldn't walk steadily, so he bought these sneakers, feeling the shoes that fit perfectly. Gayul didn't expect that someone who had no clue about picking gifts for his crush would know her shoe size. In this moment, Gayul's heart flutters again, regretting not buying that outfit. Evening comes. Gayul still doesn't want to go home, knowing this might be their last time alone together. She tells Hoban if his confession succeeds, he shouldn't shop alone with other girls, nor buy shoes for them just because they're wearing inappropriate ones, nor give his clothes to others when they're cold. Otherwise, all these would become hurtful. Suddenly, the jacket covering Gayul's head slips off. Hoban sees her flushed face with a hint of tears. Hoban is startled, quickly supporting her head, feeling Gayul's face burning like a fireball. Hoban is about to take her home when Gayul collapses in his arms. Unfortunately, Bomi appears at this moment. Bomi expressionlessly looks at Hoban. What were you just doing? Hoban doesn't mention picking out gifts. Instead tells her he was out with Gayul, and because she wasn't feeling well, he was about to take her home. Because Bomi and Hoban both knew they were shopping nearby. But Bomi didn't know Hoban was with Gayul, and Hoban knew this might cause a misunderstanding. Just as he's about to take out the gift to explain to Bomi, Bomi receives a call from her mother. Then she leaves with a "have fun, you two." After sending Gayul home, Hoban returns to the company. But no matter how many messages he sends Bomi, she doesn't reply. Hoban realizes he might be in the wrong. After all, if Bomi was with Moon-sung Kim, he would be jealous too. So he immediately thinks about how to apologize. At this moment, Bomi is still angry, but she replies to someone else's message. That's Moon-sung Kim's. Bomi is surprised by Moon-sung Kim coming to her building. After all, they haven't seen each other for almost 2 months. They chat about recent events. Bomi suddenly remembers she hasn't replied to Hoban's message. Seeing her nervousness, Moon-sung Kim quickly asks what's wrong. Bomi doesn't answer specifically, only telling Moon Song Kim she likes Hobin. After saying this, she tells Moon Song Kim to be careful on his way home, as she needs to reply to the message. Unexpectedly, Moon Song Kim grabs Bomi's hand. Looking like he's lost his soul, he tells Bomi, "Don't go, and don't reply to the message." This sudden action leaves Bomi at a loss. Moon Song Kim quickly explains they're not officially together yet, so she should be more confident and be angry when she should be. Suddenly, Bomi receives Hobin's apology message, her face turning red. Just as she's about to tell Moon Song Kim, she discovers he's already walked away. Moon Song Kim dejectedly goes to the boxing gym. Maybe he and Hobin will inevitably have a fight. At this moment, Hobin is crying his heart out because Bomi hasn't replied. The next second, he's beaming with joy over a gift from 244. Just as Hobin is curious about what 244 has sent him, after opening and seeing what's inside, both of them stand there stunned. Hobin immediately calls 244, asking what he's planning. 244's face is full of smiles as he answers the phone with a severed hand. He tells Hobin that fight live streams are too boring lately, hoping he'll change the style. Hobin doesn't agree immediately, hanging up the phone. After calming down a bit, he seriously calls everyone to the meeting room. At this moment, Jun Song still doesn't know he's been abandoned, and is working hard to build his image, preparing for his political career. On the other side, 244, covered in blood, finds the congressman during his dental cleaning, telling him he's given the items to Hobin, and he's probably started exposing now, as Hobin is exposing. 244 also begins narrating Jun Song's past. Jun Song is a J-country expatriate, once a judo star who gained attention in Japan, but killed his coach for money. Although he went to prison, he came out after just a few days. After release, he first dealt with the notorious underage bike gang, then joined a famous Yakuza group with his followers. But only nominally joined, Jun Song was like a mercenary, doing anything for money. He quickly made a name for himself, because when Jun Seong killed, he would show a grinning smile. So people in the underworld called him Waraioni, meaning smiling demon. Finally, he killed the Yakuza members who took him in, then disappeared from Japan. When he reappeared, it was at a correctional facility in H country. That's where he met Wang Gukhan, because Jun Song used his nickname in J country. Only using his real name after coming to H country, his smiling demon identity was little known. After leaving the correctional facility, Jun Song began streaming, and openly admitted his Yakuza background. This actually attracted fans' attention. This image of reform helped Jun Song successfully transform. As Hobin finished his expose, 244 also finished his story about Jun Seong. He leaned toward the nurse's ear. "Aren't you curious about how the Yakuza work, how they kill and how they dispose of bodies?" The nurse is immediately scared to cold sweat. Jun Seong, learning he's been exposed, is furious enough to want to tear Hobin to pieces. At this moment, he still hasn't realized this is a conspiracy by 244 and Congressman Tae Ju, and doesn't know he's about to be abandoned, thinking it's all Hobin's doing. But he doesn't believe a few papers without proper evidence can bring him down. Just as he's lamenting Hobin's youth, Hobin pulls out his trump card. That is Jun Seong's former employee, Hyoksu Lee. Hyoksu first swears that everything he says is true, then exposes that those live streamers who were flagged and fake live streamers were all Jun Seong's doing. He was even scalded with hot oil for failing a task. But even so, Jun Song's fans still don't believe it. Hobin had anticipated this, because Jun Song's fan wall is too strong. What they need to do is gradually break down Jun Song's fan wall. The way to break it down is partly through internet trolls, and partly through other expose bloggers, because Jun Song hasn't come forward to explain for a long time. The support for Jun Song begins to waver. Is Jun Song really going to collapse like this? Facing an overwhelming flood of online news, Jun Song eventually made that phone call. He sought help from 244, hoping he would intervene to suppress the news. 244 naturally agreed, as he didn't want Jun Song to discover his plans to abandon him yet. But gradually, Jun Song began to sense something wasn't right. He couldn't understand what Hobin's motive could possibly be. Why would someone about to take his position want to expose him? And how did he know about his past? Looking at 244, who was preparing to toast with him, Jun Song suddenly understood. He stared intently at 244 before him, his lips curling into a slight smile. "It was you, wasn't it? The one who made Hobin expose and attack me during his live stream. After all, I've done many bad things for Tae Ju. It seems he's getting nervous and preparing to abandon me. He's always made excuses to prevent me from entering politics, but suddenly offered to help me. That's when I began to suspect." Seeing 244 still trying to play dumb, Jun Song threw a teapot directly at his face. "You two underestimate me too much. If I die, neither of you will live long either. Especially you, 244. Oh no, I should call you Jung Ho Lee. What I have is far more than what you two imagine." Upon hearing his real name, 244 seemed to transform into a different person, darkly questioning how Jun Song knew his real name. Jun Song pulled out a USB drive, his lips curling upward. "You think I only know your name?" Jung Ho Lee immediately reached out to grab the USB drive. but was violently pinned to the table by Jun Song. Jung Ho Lee wasn't one to back down either. He seized the opportunity for a spectacular slam, pinning Jun Song to the ground. Unexpectedly, Jun Song grabbed his collar, executing a stylish shoulder throw. The situation reversed again. As Jung Ho Lee tried to continue struggling, a chopstick was already aimed at his eye. Knowing when to yield, Jung Ho Lee immediately apologized and promised that he and Tae-Sin Ju would stand on the same side as Jun Song. Although Jun Song didn't quite trust Jung Ho Lee, he refrained from further action, because Jung Ho Lee still had value to him. Soon, all the online news was deleted. Meanwhile, Jun Song started a live stream to explain to his viewers that all the previous controversies about him were fake. Jun Song suspected that showing off after becoming famous had caused this turmoil, so Jun Song had his hair cut to show that he would return to his roots and start over. This series of actions not only won back his fans, but even the streamers who had criticized him came forward to apologize one after another. And so the pressure shifted to Hobin's side. Seeing this, Tae-Sin Ju couldn't help but praise Jun Seong's skillful handling, declaring that Hobin was finished this time. Jung Ho Lee, who was driving, smiled slightly. Hobin still had the trump card command. Hobin initially refused to use this trump card, because it would endanger Yan Wooji's family, but Yan Wooji had already made up his mind. Through Hobin's account, he exposed the incident of Jun Song ordering his underlings to attack the Vice Minister of Land and Infrastructure. Jun Song had even repeatedly bribed Deputy Minister Ji to gain advantages. And all relevant evidence and witnesses had been handed over to the police. Finally, Young Woo-ji revealed that he was Deputy Minister Ji's son. Deputy Minister Ji was very proud of his son's act of righteousness despite family ties. But Jun Song, who was ready to celebrate with champagne, was completely stunned. Looking at the news reports, Jun Song knew he was finished. But he still didn't want to give up, so he called Tae-Sin Ju. To his surprise, he was met with a barrage of insults. Little did Jun Song know that behind Yun Woo-ji's exposure of his father was also Jung Ho Lee's shadow, though Yun Woo-ji was unaware of it. In despair, Jun Song came alone to Hobin's company. So what will Jun Seong do here? Will he attack Hobin's company and members, or will he cooperate with them to fight against the sinister Jung Ho Lee and Tae-Sin Ju?